One of the most effective forms of industrial or military sabotage limits itself to damage that can never be thoroughly proven, or even proven at all, to be anything deliberate. It is like an invisible political movement. Perhaps it isn't there at all. If a bomb wired to a car's ignition, then obviously there is an enemy. If a public building or political headquarters is blown up, then there is a political enemy. But if an accident or a series of accidents occur, if equipment merely fails to function, if it appears faulty, especially in slow fashion over a period of natural time, with numerous small failures and misfiring, then the victim, whether a person or party or a country, can never marshal to defend itself. In other words, welcome to the Fluffenhammer. The music shall enter your ears. Now!
That was a very tonally different form of cold open, wasn't it? That always leads me to think that we're going down a different route with the Fluffenhammer.
No. Do you want to?
Are we getting seditionist here?
Well, I
want to know. I am totally down.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the seditionism has been rot large over the years. We are very much.
We're kind of front and center with that, aren't we? To be honest,
yeah, I mean,
we hammered our colours to the wall very, very early with that. To be honest,
I have said for many years that if you want to have a place in the political system, first you outrun the political crocodiles, and you don't get to come back for a second go if you don't win. That is my feelings on the entire thing. No, what it actually is I've been rereading A Scanner Darkly because I desperately wanted to have that sensation of psychosis happen with
You're
a book.
reading Philip K. Dick?
I am, yeah.
Oh my god, he is amazing, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
And A Scanner Darkly is probably the most lucid book that he ever wrote.
I adore A Scanner Darkly.
Because he's off his meds then, isn't he? He's actually drying up when he writes A Scanner Darkly. But it's ironic, isn't it? Because it's his most autobiographical book.
It is, yeah, absolutely.
Have you ever seen, the film A Scanner Darkly? Which
yes.
is fucking amazing, by the way.
It is.
There's commentary on the DVD by his daughter.
There is, yeah.
And she talks about how this is not much of an exaggeration of what it was like living with her father. It was like that. You got strange people turning up all the time at the door who were sleeping on their couch, who had nowhere else to go, who were fried out of their minds on all sorts of narcotics and were paranoid, who thought that they were simulacra or robots or government agents. Their dad, Philip K. Dick himself thought that half the time.
Yeah.
He thought there were FBI agents watching them all the time. He would demolish walls because he thought there were surveillance devices in them. And
well, there was a point in Philip K. Dick's life where he convinced himself that he was in fact a sleeper agent for the government.
Yes.
And that's why he was doing the stuff he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason he didn't know it for certain is because it had been wiped out of his brain to make him a more effective sleeper agent. Which, when you start looking at some of the stuff he was writing at that point, it's like, Jesus fucking Christ.
And isn't it amazing that sort of mental decay, that psychological decay, informs some of the most brilliant, paranoid, existential science fiction ever written?
Absolutely.
Some of his stuff is incredible. Have you ever read Valus?
Yes, I have, yeah. Oh,
Only
Jesus.
Once, right?
Yeah,
Only once.
I made the joke before. I was reading The Scanner Darkly because I feel the need to feel what psychosis smells like. Valus is too close to being psychotic for my liking.
There are two books I've read in my life where it really does feel like it's not a book about the collapse of a mind. It is a collapse of a mind happening on the page.
Yeah.
And Valis is one of them. It actually makes you feel paranoid, doesn't it? It makes you feel as
It
though
does.
you are having some sort of breakdown.
It's right. Do you know about the? This is going to take a weird turn here, and I do apologize for that. Do you know about the magical war between
Alan Moore
and the other guy, Grant Morrison?
Grant Morrison,
Right?
yes,
Okay.
I know it well. Yes.
Oh, it's wonderful. I love it. So
It's so good, and what I like about it is it's so sincere.
Oh yeah,
They actually hate one another because Alan Moore thinks that the magic that Grant Morrison practices, the ritual magic that he practices, is evil. It's so good. I love it.
But a lot of what they do in that magical bunny ears magical war,
war. Yeah, it's not really much of a war, is it? You're not seeing like, magical fireballs flung across the horizon or anything like that, are you?
No.
It's not like Saruman standing atop of Orthanc screaming for the storms to come. I could see Alan Moore doing that.
I could, and he'd look great doing it, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he'd be good, yeah.
He'd look amazing doing it. He'd pull it off, right?
But what they're doing is a lot of totemistic and ritualistic iconography at each other, and in the same manner. It's absolutely wonderful. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, please God go and read up on it.
Honestly, read up on the magical war between Alan Moore and Grant Morrison.
At one point was entirely done in comic books. It's so good.
When you say throwing like iconography at each other,
it means basically they're sat down with bits of paper, drawing things and writing things, and like throwing them into fires and saying, blah, blah, blah.
They're doing the old man version of sending each other memes.
Yes.
It's
kind
old
of that
wizard memes.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Wow.
But it's old school, like totemic magic, ritual magic. And don't get me wrong, they are quite learned in it, in the disciplines that they practice. They are like sincere. This is kind of their respective religions,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They are practicing magicians, but it doesn't really mean a great deal, does it?
I'm well aware how many different flaws we're going through here before we actually managed to get back to the original point. But do you know how Alan Moore became a magician?
No.
He was in his local pub, absolutely pissed. And he went, "I've decided to become a magician." And he woke up the next morning with a hangover and went, "Shit. Well, I best do it, or else they call me a liar." That's
brilliant. Because he's got like a little avatar as well, doesn't he? His little sort of like home god that he's created, Glykon.
Yes.
That he's adopted from Roman mythology, who's one of the house gods from Roman mythology.
Isn't that the people that Scientology worships?
No, Scientology, it's I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's not Glykon. Glykon's one of the the hearth gods from ancient Rome.
Ah, okay.
Gods of the household,
I'm going to say that Scientology worship.
It is not a million miles away from that. It's like Lord Xenu or something, is this stupid like that?
I heard the weird name and thought that sounds Scientology-ish, like gabbledygoo.
It is. It's complete gobbledygook.
There's somebody that I would like to do a character assassination on. Anyway,
L. Ron Hubbard. Yeah,
especially.
I know we will get to it. Guys in the chat, we'll get to it eventually. But have you seen the video interviews with Harlan Ellison about L. Ron Hubbard?
Yes.
He of course he was old enough to know L. Ron Hubbard when Harlan Ellison was a really young, like not even like a published writer yet. He was at like a house party where L. Ron Hubbard was attending, and apparently, according to this is all hearsay, by the way. I want to make that very clear. According to Harlan Ellison, he was in the room when L. Ron Hubbard established the basis for Scientology. Basically, he came in and he was pissing and moaning about how, nobody's buying my work, no one's buying my work, I'm not making any money, this is fucking shit. And some other writer who was also in the room, who happened to have once been an evangelical minister, said to him, "Look, if you want to make money, start a religion. Start a religion. You will make bank. You will make bank if you start a religion, So
Well done to that guy. Thanks for that, dude.
Right, yeah, thanks so much for that, for inflicting fucking Scientology on the universe. Yeah,
Oh.
you know,
I know one thing.
apparently that's where it began.
I know one thing that is actual record about L. Ron Hubbard. So he lied his way onto being a submarine commander, and then tried to blow up a small inlet off the coast of Florida.
Fucking hell.
So yeah, before being drummed out. Anyway, to
Like
move
Army and Wampy all the way down. Yeah, basically, from beginning to end.
absolutely. So to move back up the ladder.
Yes.
What Morrison and Moore started doing was when they published something, they would publish something in the 3x3 standard. So 3 panels on top, 3 panels down, making 9 panels, right? The iconography of that is that because there are 9 panels and they're mirroring each other's actions, there should be some control that takes place over the actions. And that's what they were doing in comics at one point. They were attacking each other through these 9 panels as a form of totemism.
Yes, they were making occult comics, effectively. They were like casting spells through the comics they were publishing.
Absolutely. And to go back up the ladder again, that's what that era of... oh my fucking Christ, my brain, it's still thinking about L. Ron Hubbard. No, Philip K. Dick. That's what that era of Philip K. Dick feels like when you're reading it. It feels like it's very totemic. Something is reaching out from the page to get you, and it's the use of language that he has. He's fractured and splintered, but also very well considered.
Oh, he's such a brilliant writer. I mean, bearing in mind, he's writing off in an altered, a profoundly altered state of mind. He is off his tits. He is in some other realm, But he is amazing. I mean, his work is probably some of the best. For me, some of the best science fiction I've ever read. It's so beautiful. It's all about identity. Everything is about the paranoia of identity, and about how identity is essentially a construct. Always, even when it's sincere. Even when it is something that is cultivated through humane experience, it is still a confection. It's still a delusion, and it can be altered. Right?
Yeah.
It's amazing. I don't think he ever wrote a story. I don't think he ever wrote any story where there isn't a character who at some point discovers they aren't who they think they are.
No, he I was going to say he never wrote a story. No, he didn't. He wrote a continuing series of elucidated trips that run through the very boundaries of human existence.
Yeah, they're so good. I mean, honestly, if no one's ever read Philip K. Dick, please do yourselves a favor. He is incredible.
Start simple. Start with Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Yeah, that's probably his most accessible book, isn't it, to be honest?
It is, although don't go into it expecting it to be anything like Blade Runner, because
it's not. It's not. They took a lot of artistic license with Blade Runner.
Well, they dropped the entire God is in the TV subplot.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong, Blade Runner's ace. Blade Runner's beautiful. It's a great science fiction film, but it's a different beastie. It's kind of the equivalent of Kubrick's Shining from the book, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a completely different experience, and honestly, if anyone ever listens to anything I ever have to say, just go read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. Just sit back and just go, well, that was...
Massive warning. Do not start with Valus.
No. Do not go into Valus unless you are very secure in your own mental health.
Honestly, this is not a joke. Do not read that if you're feeling in any way that your mental health isn't sound.
Yeah.
Don't.
I mean, I read that in my mid to late 20s, and honestly, I had about 3 days of pure fugue. Yeah. It was
I know
weird.
Exactly what you mean. It is like, I shit you not, it's like taking LSD.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
as close an experience to taking LSD as I've ever come across, barring taking LSD.
I mean, there is a sense of the ayahuasca about it. It's really odd.
Yeah. Because it keeps going, doesn't it? I mean, it starts with existential paranoia, and then it just takes it into complete reality paranoia. It's not just the individual characters who don't know who they are; it's the reality Reality doesn't know what it is. It's so.
I'm fairly convinced that book is why I've got this love of reality shifting and. I know it often gets called cosmic horror, but that's not the right thing, because cosmic horror is the idea is something big is out there that is unknowable. But I'm talking about like reality itself breaks. Yeah, it's.
I mean, this book involves a subplot where Jesus Christ comes back as a computer program, and that's only a subplot.
Yep.
It's insanely brilliant, that book, but it is Philip K. Dick losing his mind. It is on the page.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got to think
other book that I've read where that happens is the third Gormenghast book, Titus Alone.
Yes,
very similar. I mean, like it's the fantasy equivalent, I would say, of that book.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. I actually thought you were going to say the House of Leaves would be the other one.
Yeah, House of Leaves is close, but House of Leaves I find is more in control of itself because it has to be because of the structure,
Yeah.
Whereas these books feel as though they're not. I feel that the writer isn't in control of those stories,
No.
Like at all.
That stuff was pouring out of them without any form of control or any form of restraint. It's very, very weird.
That's what makes them brilliant, right? That's what makes them so amazing. But at the same time, it's really like there is something unique and something uniquely frightening about it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Let's go back up the ladder one more time. Hi, I'm Adam. Over there is Andy.
Hello.
And once again, there's George.
Hi. After that very long, but not. At least we were dealing with science fiction, right? It was
true. Yeah. I'm actually happy because we got into a little bit of Philip K. Dick, and as we all know, I do love a bit of Dick.
Come on, if a joke should have gone to the gay guy, come on, stealing our thunder.
It's not my fault that you weren't fast enough.
That's true.
Probably rephrase that.
Yeah, Chris always faster with Dick.
Yeah.
Considering the conversation we were having before about General Bison. Okay. Right, moving on. So, we've got a load of stuff to get through this evening, but first, I would ask you both a question. A question that will pry open the very innards of your soul and display them as some form of meat market. Andy.
Uh-huh.
What have you been doing in the last few weeks? Inside the hobby.
Oh, thank God it's the hobby. Okay. you went inside and there was a bit of a linger of time.
It was almost an accusation, wasn't it?
Andy, what have you been doing inside?
He went a little bit Dark Angels there, didn't he? He went a bit, what have you been doing this week, Andy?
I'm not one of the fallen. I promises.
Brother Andy, what have you been doing this week?
Lionel Johnson's back. Leave me alone.
What?
Leave me alone. No! Hobby-wise, I've been slowly getting through the Imperial Guard Combat Patrol. Cracking through that. I've got seven more dudes left to paint up from like the 20-man squad. I've still got the command squad left to do. And I've got the 2 artillery things and the sentinel left to paint, as well as the little dudes who man those gun turrets and everything like that.
They look good. They look really good.
Thank you. Yeah, those are the ones I've got to finish. 13 of them are finished. They're done. I don't need to finish any more of those 13. More to go. Yesterday I went out and because I went to see my buddy Matt, who lives near the cheap model store, the place where I can get cheap model store. I got a Chimera. So I was putting that together yesterday. I've got it mostly built, but I'm leaving a lot of it unbuilt so I can magnetize it. And I also got the lemon Russ, everybody's favorite lemon Russ. The lemon Russ.
I always think of like rusks or something like that, don't you?
The lemon rusk.
Yeah, the lemon rusk. It's your favorite flavor? What's your favorite flavor? I'm surprised how kind of like fun the Chimera is to put together. I haven't put together the Lehman yet, but the Chimera, like it's old. You can tell it's old, and even the kind of modern instructions, they have no numbers on. It's just you eyeball it. You just it looks like that. Stick it together. Hope for the best.
You just got to put it together how you want, basically.
Yeah. I I did put the tank treads on backwards, but it doesn't matter. You know, it's just like, you know how a tank tread looks, and it's got the little point forward. That's going the other way, so you're not going to notice that. Really.
No, it came
It's
out of the
annoying,
factory like that, right? You know.
yeah. As long as it's running over people, no one really
No
cares.
one in the Imperial's going to give a shit, are they?
No, exactly. But
Maybe
I've got a lot.
might come along and go, hey, those tank treads are not standard, soldier.
Bloody
Boom.
bullshit. Yeah. There's a decent amount to magnetize on it. I'm not sure if I can magnetize the front gun because I've built too much of it. But I might be able to. But I should be able to magnetize the turret, and I might magnetize the cargo door as well because that kind of looked quite fun to do. And then on the Lehman Russ, there's a stupid amount to do. There's every cannon under the sun to do, and all the what they call the sponsors.
Yeah.
I learned that word yesterday when I was looking at the magnetizer. I was like, sponsor? What's a bloody sponson? I was more confused, like, why the sponsons weren't... I assumed the sponsons were already part of the mold rather than stuff that you added on later.
I would have thought that too.
Yeah, but no, I guess you have the option to just not have the side guns on a Lehman Russ. I've never seen that before.
Why would you not have the side guns?
Would that be to make it a transport vehicle only?
I don't think so. It doesn't say so in the instructions.
That ability, no. It's always like a mobile cannon.
Yeah, maybe it's like just to make it cheaper, because otherwise, you know, then you don't need to have what are the options? The plasmas, melters, flamethrowers, or bolters. Maybe if you don't have those two on the sides, it's just a little cheaper, I guess.
Maybe.
But I never want that. It looks cool. It looks cooler with that stuff. Yeah, more DACA. Yeah, exactly, more DACA.
Isn't that the point of the card? You know, when you have tanks, more guns, right?
They need more guns on their tanks because the dudes don't do shit, from what I hear. They're there to die to protect the artillery, basically.
Oh, no, they're looking good in 10th, and we'll get into it, you know.
Well, no, not the infantry. The tanks are fine. The tanks have always been fine. It's the infantry who is shit.
Yeah, and they're meant to be, right? They're squishy humans.
Yeah. They're just meant to stand. Oddly enough, it's the opposite of what happened in World War II, where the units stood behind the tanks. It's now no. The units are in front of the tanks, so they die before the
tanks. Yes.
Yeah, we've got a few million of these guys. We don't have this many tanks, so fuck the people. Whatever.
Yeah, that's right. Humanity is cheaper than the first millennium, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, so it's a good commodity, good resource. So I've been doing that, and like I said, I've got the magnets, which might come between tomorrow and Saturday. I ordered them today, so you know it's quick. Like 2x1 millimeters and 3x1 millimeters seem to be the recommended kind of magnet size. The only thing I'm hoping is I've got the right drill bit size for them. I guess I'll find out once I get them. That's future Andy problem. I got a spray can as well, so I should be able to spray can up my current metal stuff. I've got the issue of like how do I paint my vehicles? Like I know how to do my Sentinel, I know how to do my guns, but I don't know how do I do my tanks. Do I do them with a camo pattern like my guys, or do I just paint them like blue and then rust them up? I don't know. I might try and do the camo pattern, but that's not easy.
Yeah,
no, that's a lot of
flat planes, right? It's a bit tricky.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right, because between this podcast and the last one, I broke my airbrush. Yeah, that was fun.
Oh, no.
Yeah. What happened was I didn't have the, you know, where the needle goes in at the back? I didn't have the bit that you put on over the top of that, so when I dropped it, I think it landed like bottom needle first and then pushed the needle further up, and then split the point a little bit. There's just a small little gap. So whenever I try and like use the airbrush, it just goes.
Oh no!
Yeah, so it's completely. I don't think it's healable. So.
Fuck.
No.
Yeah. Oddly enough, this was around the same time that Griff decided to break his microphone.
Right. So these things come in threes, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Well, what can I say? It's the Games Workshop lawyers have found new ways of stopping us from being right.
Yes. I finished the Siege of Terror book today.
Oh, which one?
What's the third one called?
What happens in it?
It's the one. like it's got a lot. I wasn't a big fan of it. I think it was a Gav Thorpe one. It was the one where you follow the Adabar people for a while.
Oh
and
yes,
being
I
on the
remember
line, and
one.
that
The
entire
train.
side of that's
Yeah.
that bit's shit. That's a large portion of the story, and it's shit.
Yeah.
It's boring.
Yeah.
I don't feel it adds up to anything. I would have taken that shit out. The interesting stuff was Sigismund versus Khan,
Yeah,
which was
yeah.
minuscule compared to let's talk about these people on the train and talking about building tanks and all the spoilers. They're working for the War Master. I was like, oh, what a surprise! I'm shocked. I didn't like it. It was too much focused on that and not enough on. I would say Sigismund versus Khan, slightly more important.
Yeah,
Probably should have been the focus of the book, if you ask
Well,
me.
I mean, spoilers, by the way, guys, massive spoilers, but that's like the death of Khan, right? That's when he has his first brush with death.
Yeah.
When he's beaten, right? For the first time. And it's when Khorne kind of breathes life back into him as his chosen avatar. You know, it's important. Right? It's important.
And he had the interesting points with Euphrates Keeler and the torchbearers.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, they're actually demons. And I don't think Layak died. He turned into a little demon portal. They didn't make that much of a big deal about like the demons are now setting foot on Earth for the first time as physical manifestations.
That kind of comes later.
That's
big
true.
Stuff, you know.
But they do mention by the end of that book that legions of infinite demons are coming through. But it's almost kind of like someone else is writing about that shit. Magnus has appeared, but I think that was kind of you're expected to have read the Magnus focused book, even though it's not part of the numbered series.
Yeah, it does set it up massively.
Yeah.
Like
It's
huge.
weird.
Huge.
It's weird how that's a supplemental because that sounds important to
It
me.
is really, you do need to read it. The Crimson King, you do need to read it.
More so important than following just random people on a train.
There's something really important that happens with a shard of Magnus that's inside someone else that is a really important plot point that comes up in that book.
The last part of the book, which is just the Adabar people who it seems like it's a devastated thing, and just this one dude walks by and what's your name? It's John. I'm like, oh, John Marcus. That's cool. That's fun.
Of course, yes, he's there.
That was a nice little end bit at the end of a Marvel movie where it's, what's your name? John Grammaticus. John Grammaticus will return in Avengers.
I'm John Grammaticus, and I'm here to say...
Please let me die.
At long last, right?
I want to die. No. Serve the Cabal. So I think it was a big step down from the second book.
Yeah.
What's the next one? It's not Warhawk after this, is it? What's book 4?
Lost and the Damned? Is that book 4? No.
No, I don't know what the next one is. I can't remember, but I do know like they really pick up.
I know that you two really like Warhawk, like aggressively.
Love Warhawk, Echoes of Eternity. Thus far is probably my favorite one. That one is fucking spectacular.
Echoes is the second last one. It's not like the two-parter. It's like the...
That's right. It's the penultimate one, basically.
That's the word.
Yeah, it's the one before the end. Yeah.
So it's...
And it's Aaron Venke Bowden, man. I mean, it's brilliant. It's just fucking brilliant. You know, it's amazing.
I'm trying to remember the order they go in. Is it Solar War, Lost and Damned?
Yes.
First War?
That might be what it's called. Yeah.
I can't remember.
Saturnine.
I haven't heard that one yet. So yeah.
Mortis, Warhawk, Echoes of Eternity.
You can literally pull up a Black Library on your computer. I can't because it messes up the stream.
Yes, of course.
I can't do that.
Man, I was right. Solar War, Lost and the Damned, First War, Sons of the Selenar, Saturnine, Fury of Magnus, Mortis, Warhawk, Echoes of Eternity.
Need to read, not because they're not good, but because they just don't tell you anything. Mortis, don't need to read it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, just it's not it's bad at all. It's actually a really good book. I think John French wrote that one. It's pretty damn good, but it just doesn't add anything. It's not a continuation.
Do you think that should have been a supplemental in a way?
Yes,
it should have been just been like it's an extra.
Yeah, big style. Absolutely, you can just literally move from the previous book to the next one, and you won't notice.
Well, Mortis exists to
It's
just...
for the Titans, isn't it? It's to give you
Yeah,
like a
I assume so.
wider perspective. It's good. Don't get me wrong. It's actually really, really good. But it's not if you want the main thrust. If you're looking for the prime narrative, it's not the one. It's
Is
not.
it better than Mechanicus?
Yes.
Yes!
Like it's
a
on
book.
another realm. It's on another realm compared to that.
Wait. What do you think? What do you think Mechanicus is, Grove?
It's a collection of words that have been thrown onto a page. Mechanicus isn't a story,
Oh.
right? No,
Maybe if
it's
zero and
not.
ones, because it would be very apt. It's very
It-
dull. Like
well,
if
If
you
it
wrote
was
it.
written in binary,
Yeah.
they've missed the trick not doing that, haven't they? Doing a special edition that's written in binary.
You see, you say that, but I believe that's actually the problem, that it was written in binaric, and then it was translated to English, and that's why it doesn't do anything, because it doesn't make any sense.
See, ChatGPT has been around for so long. We just didn't know that they were writing books back in the day for horror.
Yeah, right. Maybe.
That's
so.
what Nemesis was probably written by
Yeah,
ChatGPT
God.
as well.
Battle
If-
for the Abyss, fucking hell.
If
The
you
Abyss,
asked me which was worse out of Mechanicus, Nemesis, and Battle for the Abyss,
Well, the Abyss has to be
The
worst,
Abyss, honestly.
yeah, I mean,
Oh.
Battle of the Abyss would win that one, because it
In
is
terms
awful.
of like awful writing, and I mean like technically, mechanically, god awful writing, Battle for the Abyss is like light years beyond the others. It's so bad.
But Mechanicus fails at the basic percent of giving you a narrative.
Yeah, I mean,
And
Mechanicum is just boring, isn't it? It's really, 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 really dull. It's a collection of descriptions of what's happening on Mars, basically.
Yeah, well, that's
And
it.
on Terra briefly, like
Yes,
in a lab.
briefly.
Holy
yeah.
shit, George, you've just hit the nail on the head. I now understand why I hate Mechanicus, because it reminds me of Anne Rice, where all of the interesting stuff happens in past tense because of the way it's written, and as a
right.
result, it's boring. That fucking interview with the vampire where she spends a page and a fucking half describing a wardrobe whilst Lestat kills somebody. Fuck you, Anne Rice. Do you know what the best thing about an Anne Rice book is, right? This is literally the best thing about an Anne Rice book. When you fling it from a second story window, it goes real fucking far.
You know why Anne Rice wrote about that wardrobe? Because she's a big fan of bargain hunters. It was just before her time.
So epistemological fiction, not your bag, Adam. I take it.
It's actually annoying because I quite like Memnoch the Devil. It's quite that's actually quite a good book. It's probably
I
the best thing Anne
avoid
Rice.
most of Victorian fiction in general because it was the style at the time, as they say.
I know, but Anne Rice is bad.
It's actually, I mean, it's part of the reason why the latter half of Dracula fails. I mean, the first half of Dracula is brilliant, where it's Jonathan Harker in the castle and it's Dracula being really chatty and catty with him and sort of batting him around like a cat with a mouse. That's great. And then it gets to England and it's all told in like journal entries and newspaper extracts. It's all epistemological and it's dull.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so dull.
Which would you prefer, George, to read Dracula again or to watch that BBC three-parter from a few years ago?
Read it. I would read any day. Oh, what, the one with what's his name? Claes Bang?
Yeah.
No, I'd read the book.
That series annoyed me. The first episode is so camp, it's great. Second episode is like, okay. Third episode is a proper moment of,
It's
fuck
Moffat
off.
being Moffat.
Yeah.
He's only any good when he's got someone reining him in. When he's got someone like containing his ego, basically. Then he can write really decent stuff. But when he's in control of a series, he can't do it. He can't contain it. There was that awful, and the Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde is actually one of my favourite books. It's one of my favourite Victorian bits of fiction.
I know where you're going here, man. And I can't go with you because that
bloody
series
that he did in the early 2000s.
Oh man, that series created the sentence. It's shit. It's brilliant.
It's so bad.
No, it's worse than that.
I could.
It exists on the same level as the Street Fighter live action movie.
Yes.
It incorrect on every conceivable function.
it's one of
Every
those-
decision that
Yes.
could have been made has been made incorrectly.
wrong,
It's
right?
incredible.
You don't get that often, do you? Where like everything in a created thing is wrong. It's really rare. It's stuff
No.
like The Room, you know.
Yeah,
This series is that.
it
Right?
is a majestic series, and I will not hear bad words said about it.
James,
because
I mean, like, from the casting is terrible. James Nesbitt as Dr. Jekyll. I mean,
I'm James Nesbitt.
I just don't buy it. You know, I just don't buy it. This is like Marky Mark in The Happening, right? Kind of academic. It's like I don't buy it at all.
I will also put a big flag in the ground that says that The Happening is the greatest parody ever made. It just nobody realised, including the director.
The people who made it, yeah, including the people
realised
who made it.
that The Happening is one of my guilty pleasures.
Because it's so bad, right?
Oh, it is. One of my favourite things in the world to do is to introduce somebody to The Happening and then watch them.
Yeah, because that is fun, isn't it? When they
Oh.
start to realise what garbage is happening on screen, right?
It takes about 20 minutes before people... It's like 20 minutes is the boundary. At
Yeah.
that point, they realise this isn't going to stop.
Yeah, it's when they lean back and they're like, no.
Did you get around to watching Old George? Because I know that Griff mentioned it on a previous show.
No, I didn't, unfortunately.
I thought you were tempted by it because it sounded shit.
Yeah, I was tempted. I haven't got round to it yet.
Okay, okay.
I'm perfectly honest.
Old. I'm going to give this to Old. There is one scene which works.
One scene, yeah.
That is literally everything else about it is eye-boggling. Oh, just wait until the 8-year-old girl gets pregnant. That's a fucking moment.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's not creepy. Well,
No, well it
No,
is.
really?
it is, but
But I
yeah.
mean, but physically they're in the 20s. But it's like that moment in
I
Life
don't
Force.
care. That sounds really,
Oh, it's bad.
really hideous.
It's like
you know?
it's like that moment in Life Force where the guy starts making out with the space vampire,
Yeah.
and it takes you a couple of seconds, and you realise, actually, from a third person's point of view, that space vampire is currently in Patrick Stewart's body, and
Yeah.
that man and Patrick Stewart are just making out in a morgue. This is the best film ever made.
Now, that's fine. You know, I don't mind that. That's kind of my kind of deviance. But
It's not the way it's filmed, but the realization
Yeah.
of what's happening takes a couple of seconds, and then you go,
Huh.
"Oh shit!"
yeah, wow.
Old is
Old's
it's
a
something
movie.
else. It's
Old's
something
another
else.
M. Night Shyamalan movie where you're like, are you just doing this now for the memes? You're doing
Yeah.
it deliberately because you must know.
You know what? Having seen interviews with him, I don't think he does.
No,
He's
he
so-
has to. He has
He's so blinded by his own ego. He really thinks he's Spielberg. He thinks that he's like.
But he thinks he's Hitchcock.
Yes, he thinks he's
No.
Hitchcock. Yeah, he does. He
Yeah.
really does. He's got this incredible ego about his work. He genuinely thinks he's a genius. He genuinely thinks he's doing important, deviant, transgressive, brilliant work. And he's not.
No. Abby tried to get me to watch the Avatar film that he did. I
no.
lasted 22 minutes.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
it's
God.
atrocious. It's atrocious.
We are way off the boundary here, but I
We
don't
are.
care
We
because
are.
this is important conversation.
It's important and it needs
Have
to be
you-
had, God damn it.
Have you guys watched Devil?
Yep. The jam sandwich stuff. Yeah, I
Yeah,
have watched
so-
Devil. It's shite.
Why does nobody talk about the fucking jam? This
I
this
think
bothers
it's
me.
so fucking ridiculous, to be honest. I mean, like, there's a way people talk in M. Night Shyamalan films, and it is not like it's not even how fictional characters talk.
No.
You know,
No.
it's like how nobody on Earth talks. It's how the goblins in his head talk.
But for those of you who don't know, right, there's a bit in the film where this
How are you
guy
even going to
says,
describe this? How are you even going to frame this and make it the least amount of sense?
right, what I'm doing, I'm just going to go hell for leather here to explain why the jam annoys me, because nobody fucking talks about it, and it drives me insane. This is literally like a little pinprick that's in my neck that just constantly bothers me, and if there's a moment where I'm not thinking about anything, it just pops right in there, and I wonder, why do people not talk about the jam fucking sandwich? And the reason is this.
It is a get up out of the cinema and storm the fuck out moment.
It is, because
isn't it?
it's a moment where the fucking you don't understand physics or something.
Well,
I don't know
not
what it
only
is.
that, but it's the fact it's so poorly conceived and so poorly written, and it
it's
doesn't
wrong.
make any sense, and it's stupid and condescending, and it's like it's supposed to be a moment in the film. You're supposed to feel that it's somehow meaningful or profound,
But he does it wrong.
and
So,
it's so badly put together.
and I'm gonna I've got a feeling here that nobody knows exactly what I'm talking about. So let me explain. There is a moment in the film where a guard who is very religious says that when the devil is around, things don't work the way they should, and he has in his hand a piece of toast with a jelly and peanut butter sandwich, right? And he drops it, and it lands jelly side down into the
Oh my
carpet,
God.
which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
what
right.
it would do. That is exactly right. And then they all stand around it like it's an absolute moment of horror. That like, this isn't how this should work.
And the film frames it like that
I
as
know,
well, doesn't it?
and it
It's like-
drives me fucking insane.
It's so bad. It's so awful. And I'm like, has this man ever seen a horror film ever in his life?
Has this man ever watched something fall over? It's that simple. It would land like that anyhow. That is the way that it would land. The heaviest point automatically drops
And it
to the
doesn't-
bottom.
Even that doesn't matter. Even that doesn't matter. The conception of framing like a scary moment or a foreboding moment around a fucking jam sandwich. It's like nobody's going to find that scary. No one is going to find that foreboding. It's never going to work. Kubrick couldn't make that fucking work.
No.
You know? It's insanely bad. And you find that throughout Shyamalan's oeuvre, these moments that are stupid and ill-conceived, that maybe meant something in his head, but he lacks the ability to pass them. He lacks the ability to say to himself, I'm not going to put this in. I'm going to edit this out because this was a bad idea that I had at 1 a.m., you know, when I was maybe off my meds or something. He lacks that ability, so everything he thinks, because he thinks that it's automatically genius, goes in. I mean,
It makes me angry, man.
yeah, but I mean, the one that made my first experience of M. Night Shyamalan was anger, because I remember like the first horror films I got to see at the cinema because I was old enough to see them. One was the Blair Witch Project, which I fucking loved. That just completely blew my mind as a horror fan. I came out of that cinema screen just insane with joy. And then I went to see The Sixth Sense shortly after, because they were out at the same time. Do you remember?
Yeah.
In the UK, they were out at the same time. And The Sixth Sense was marketed in the UK as scarier than the Blair Witch Project. That was actually on the advert. So I remember going with friends to see The Sixth Sense. And I remember us coming out of that cinema screen, looking at one another, and one of us saying, that was a pile of shit, wasn't it? And we were all like, yes, it was. Yes, it was. That twist that everyone goes nuts over is dumb. It's dumb. It makes no sense. Internally, within the film, it makes no sense. He's been dead the entire time. Okay, we've seen him interact with people.
Well,
in the film.
Accidentally, yes, we have.
You know, it's like, how has he not noticed?
Yeah.
How has he not noticed this? How has he not noticed that people are kind of like not paying much attention to him, or like walk all the way down through him? You know, it's bad. It's a bad twist, and it's one of those bits of writing that's designed to make the audience feel stupider than the writer, than the creator. And I tell you what, as a writer, you don't fucking do that.
No.
You don't
never
do
punched
that.
down.
You don't do that. You don't try to fluff yourself up, your ego, by making the audience feel dumb.
No. See Prometheus.
Yes. Although Prometheus gets a pass because Michael Fassbender's in it, and Michael Fassbender's pretty. No, it gets a pass. It also has pretty monsters, so Prometheus can kind of get a pass on some levels. The Sixth Sense, no. It's stupid all the way through. And people were blindsided by it. Critics were blindsided. Do you remember, like, the outpoint? Oh, he's the new Hitchcock. He's the new Steven Spielberg. Oh, he's so good. No, he's never been good. He's never made a good film.
No. It took until was it the village or the Lady in the Water for people to realise?
Yes, it was Lady in
it
the
was one of
Water.
the two.
Water.
It was
Jesus
Lady in
Christ.
the Water when people started to get that this guy actually is not that great at what he does.
So, well, I've always said, if you want to watch Sixth Sense, go watch Jacob's Ladder. That's a much better version.
Oh, Jesus. God almighty. I mean, that, if you really want proper Disturbia, if you want a film that will take you over the edge, woof.
I love Jacob's Ladder.
Again, content warnings, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you watch that film, make sure you're in a good place. You won't be by the end, I can tell you. Sincerely, consider yourself warned.
Should we move on to some news?
Let's talk about Warhammer.
I'm well aware that it's been a while, and
It's been a little bit before we got to it.
we've gone right around the place tonight. M.
Yeah.
Night Shyamalan and Philip K. Dick, and, Alan
L.
Moore's Magical War.
Alan Moore. We've done rather well, haven't we? Really?
Right, so let's get into some news. For Warhammer 40,000 Leviathan is out in 2 weeks.
God,
There are a couple of things here. I mean, there's quite a lot here that I want to talk about. Which
Exciting is what it is.
it is, it really is. But there's also some things here which are exciting for reasons that may not appear entirely apparent to begin with.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to get into them before we get into the game itself and
no.
the news and all of that stuff.
Because we've got the game. We've got the game. It's available. You can just download it. All the rules. I've got it on my phone.
Yeah. How amazing is that?
How cool is that, right? And have you seen the latest news? Or all the army indexes are like next week.
Yeah.
It's just download them or order them if you want them. You know, it's great. It's really cool. Since when have Games Workshop done that?
This feels like a new. This feels like a turning point,
Doesn't it?
This feels like people have listened to what's been said over the last few years, and this is a first reaction to it. And this is going to claw back some of the goodwill that they've burnt over the last 3 years. And let's be fair, there are some reasons why Games Workshop have undone a lot of the good work that they did in the previous 5 years. It's been a very weird few years. There are mitigating factors for that, absolutely, but also there have been some poor decision making. One of the biggest things I've seen here, which really makes me happy, is how, pardon me, these pre-orders are going to work. Open for a 2-week window.
Yep.
Excellent. It's a queue system,
Yes.
and the orders are limited to 2.
Good. Oh, so the scalpers. It's about fucking time. Do it with Black Label Games Workshop.
There's probably ways around it, unfortunately.
There are.
Of course there are. You know, your dedicated scalpers are probably going to get around it, but at least they're trying. At least they're actually doing something, you know?
Absolutely. And I think this is how pre-orders have to work every single time going forward.
Yep.
There needs to be that queue system in place. There needs to be that limited edition of being able to order stuff. It's so much better.
Are we getting it? Is anyone getting Leviathan?
I've got a deal.
Space Marines and Tyranids? Nah, get out of here.
I'm getting it. I'm getting it. I like the look of it. I even like the look of the Space Marines. I might do something. I might nurgle them up or something. But I'm really tempted. I mean, I'm really tempted just to get it and paint them both up as they are. You know, the Tyranids, the Space Marines, just so I've got a box set, because you can play it, right? I mean, I know they always do a box set at the beginning of Warhammer 40k. You know what? You can't play a proper game. With the previous editions, you can't really play a proper game of 40k with what's in the box. You can't, because they're not complete armies. It's sort of like, it's a test thing, isn't it? You're just playing a little sort of game. This, you are going to be able to play a game of 10th ed with what's in the box.
Could you play proper games of 40k with previous boxes, like with second edition? Because they had missions, didn't they?
You could, but it wasn't. It
wasn't real, was it?
No.
You needed a lot more figures to like.
You needed a lot more.
Second ed,
Second
fourth
had loads
ed.
of, like Gretchen.
A lot of Gretchen.
A lot of Gretchen and a cardboard dreadnought, you know?
Yeah, the poor orcs, I think, were really screwed in that box set, because there
They
were a lot
were,
of boys, just boys, and just Gretchen, and with the Space Marines, what did they have? They had
tactical
a few basic
squads.
squads, and a good few bazookas and flamethrowers.
Yeah. And that was, I mean, back then, Space Marines, I mean, they're good now, but they were good.
They were really good.
You know, especially against Gretchen, you know. I don't even think the Orcs had a leader model, did they, in that
No.
box? Space
No.
Marines did.
Yeah. Well, they had the
Disney's a
sergeant
captain.
at
Yeah, they
least.
had a captain, you know. So, but these are armies. They're like the smallest scale of army you can get, and there's even like specialist units. You've got like the Neuro Tyrant and the Librarian and Terminators and stuff. This is great.
This box set's kind of weird, like 2 combat patrols, kind of, but with the new
Kind of.
models. Obviously,
Yeah.
obviously, when the new Space Marine Combat Patrol and Tyranid Combat Patrol come out, it won't have the new fancy models in. Or there'll be like 1 or 2, but it won't be the
It won't be
full
as no. It
Yeah.
won't. You won't get things like the Von Ryan's Leapers.
No.
You know, the Neuro Tyrant and
No,
all of that thing. This is lovely. I mean, those Tyranids are really singing to me. I mean, they really are. But almost, it's like, oh, I'll get the box set, and then I might expand on them a little bit. I don't know.
Well, if you do get it, you're not allowed to paint the Tyranids without at least 1 neon color. That's the rule. That's the Fluffenhammer rule. One neon color, 1 incredibly bright fancy color.
I wanted to go naturalistic with them. I wanted to go like HR Giga with them, you know?
Yeah, but think of the fluorescent pinks and oranges.
Yeah, I suppose I could look into
And
like nature,
purples.
like look at brightly coloured beetles or something.
Yeah, look at fish. There's some really
Fish,
pretty fish.
yeah,
Or frogs.
that's a good idea. Yeah, like arrow frogs or something like that.
Yeah, what are the frogs that have little like blue socks on, but the rest of the body's red?
That's an arrow frog.
That's an arrow frog. Okay.
Yeah, very venomous. Oh no, they're actually poisonous, not venomous.
Yeah.
They you have to ingest the poison or absorb it through your hands. Yeah.
That's
That
the frogs that Homer licks in the
That's
Simpsons
right.
episode,
That's right. Yeah. I mean, that'd be good as a basis for a Tyranid paint scheme. That'd be kind of fun.
I know Gruff's going to do them in fluorescent colors. I don't need to tell him to do it. He'll do it because he's a good boy. He knows what's up.
I was thinking of even looking at some exotic spiders or something like that.
Okay.
That'd be fun, like golden orb weavers. That'd be. I mean, they'd make a beautiful color scheme.
I'd give you a lot of props if you did. Each different species is a different color, as is one
God,
to do.
That'd be like an explosion in a paint factory, like the second.
That would be
Ventura.
old school. Yeah, that's what I want. I know Adam's a good boy and he won't disappoint me.
Yep, there's the sky blue lictor. There's the crimson hive tyrant.
Yeah.
I didn't mention when we originally saw these models, the one model that I do not like in this set, because I think it's kind of boring to look at, is the hive tyrant with wings. It's not even a dynamic stance.
He's not a hive tyrant. He's a Tyranid prime. No. He's a Tyranid prime, which is just like he's like the lesser leader. He's like the lieutenant. He's
Oh no, he's a Primaris lieutenant.
he's the Tyranid Prime is like he's an upgraded Tyranid warrior just beneath the hive tyrants. So he's kind of a winged Tyranid warrior, basically. Like he's a Synapse Tyranid warrior, a bigger one.
Okay.
A version of that. The hive tyrants are going to be like massive compared to
because I hear rumors that there's a big thing coming for the Tyranids. You know, it's going to be their centerpiece thing. It's going to be their big blade there.
I'm hearing rumblings of that as well. A lot of
of course there is. I mean, they don't have one, as far as I know. They need one just because GW needs to sell the Tyranid player, the big model.
I suppose the last one they had, there was the Harris Specs, wasn't? Is that? But is that Forge World? Is that?
That is Forge
that's
World.
probably Forge
That's
World.
Forge World.
Yeah.
There's the Tyrannofex. That's a big old beastie, isn't it? But that was a while back now, so they do need a new one, don't they, to sort of bring them up a little bit.
Would you bring back an old Tyranid thing? Like, what was the second edition? The
Dominatrix.
big slug thing? No,
Bring back the Dominatrix.
That'd be cool, but like one of the Bio Titans or something, the Exocrine or the Harris Specs, that kind of thing.
That'd be fun.
That would be cool. I'd love to see
bring
that.
back the old Zone Throat, but it's just really big.
It's
It's
got
just
the walking one.
Yeah, the one with the giant, like, flat
Yeah.
face. But you just make a really big version of that, because that always looked intimidating. You could say, like, its giant head's just armor, so if anything shoots it on the front, it just deflects off,
Well, funnily enough, that was a rule they had back in second.
Yeah,
it actually did. They had a 2+ armor save because they had a psychic shield around them.
Stupid flathead.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you could have just rewritten it and said "stupid big flat head rule." You know?
He's like the guy from Elden Ring. You know, the guy that looks at the tree.
Yes.
I can't remember his name, but that guy.
Yeah, very like him. Yes. Yeah. Oh man, but no, I love this set. I've got to say, I think it's one of the most impressive sets they've released for the opening of a new edition.
Yeah, I'm all in for this. Like, I'm really, really liking it. I'm also liking everything that's coming with it. As you say, the rules are there. You can download them. There's a quick play guide which you can now download.
Yeah.
All the army lists are coming out next week.
Yeah,
Freaking hell! Like,
we've seen a lot of stuff, haven't we? As well, we've seen like all of the army overviews are out now, I believe. All of the main armies certainly have had their overview, and I mean, traditionally Games Workshop have always struggled with balance and with certain armies being better than others. This looks like the most balanced that launch it's ever been.
Yeah.
We've got the most in the way of rules that we've ever had at launch. Armies are not just like bare bones. They've got their army-wide special rules established. They've got their specialist units established. They've got things like psychic powers. All of that is all there at launch. It's really cool. And it gives time. It gives them time to breathe. It means they're not rushing to get the codices out. So there's like imbalance between the codices and we're experimenting with this one. We're going to do this with this one. It means they've got time. It means they can look at the codices and they can balance them out a little better. So fingers crossed, we won't get that problem with power creep and with like each codex being a different format.
Isn't that just a natural thing? Just based on like the nature of like finding out how good an army is. Like the testers can only test so much, but it's like once you get it into the field, that's when you see the power creep happen because people start crunching numbers and whatnot. So I think it's still gonna happen.
It is still gonna happen, but hopefully not like baked into the codices. You know what I mean?
Exactly
like,
that.
In Ninth Ed, we had this real problem. I mean, I love Ninth Ed, and Ninth Ed is definitely the most balanced version thus far. It definitely is. They've really, tried with Ninth Ed, but we still had this problem where you had like the Drukhari come out, and suddenly they're everywhere because they're brilliant. Tyranids come out, suddenly they're everywhere because they're brilliant. Gene Stealer cults, brilliant, everywhere. Astra Militaria come out and they dominate. They absolutely frigging dominate everyone. Tau come out, Votan come out, and they've got to rewrite them immediately.
I think what people would hope the most for this edition is like not having to buy the White Dwarfs for one new rule.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the big hope for people.
Yes, and it looks like that is what they've responded to from what we've seen as far. Not having to buy this campaign book over here, this update book over here, this White Dwarf, this or that, to get all your rules and whatnot, because it's annoying, right? It makes bookkeeping really difficult, really difficult.
Also playing, because I imagine like you say, oh, I've got this rule where I do this, and someone goes, wait, what do you mean? It's not my rule book. And you go, well, no, it's not in your rule book. And you pull out a White Dwarf. It's like, it's on this page here of White Dwarf. And it's like, what the fuck? No.
Or you pull out your phone, oh, they updated, they FAQ'd that. Look, and you can't do that now.
Oh, last week. Fuck.
Yeah, exactly.
To be fair, though, White Dwarf hasn't actually had miniature rules in it for a while now.
No,
that's good.
I realised that about 8-9 months ago now. Actually, there hasn't been any new miniature rules in here for ages.
Yeah, they've really tried to like move away from that and make it more like hobby based. Which is probably good, to be honest, because again, it's that problem, isn't it? Oh, you missed that issue of White Dwarf. Well, I didn't know that update was in there. I didn't know that new thing was in there. Having everything on the damn data sheets. Oh my God! Oh, the joy!
I
Thousand Suns player. Oh, the joy!
What do you think, George, of like the there not being a psychic phase?
Oh, honestly, Thousand Suns players were really scared of that, obviously. They were really worried. We've got our own little bespoke psychic phase. That's how they've got around it. But it's much more efficient. We've got our Cabal system, basically. Our army special rule that we've already had, it's called Cabal of Sorcerers, basically means that, like in Ninth Ed, every Psyker that you've got on the battlefield generates psychic points. And you could spend those Cabal points on casting bespoke psychic powers available only to the Thousand Sons from any sorcerer you've got on the battlefield. So it's fine. But we are what we've always should have been. We're psychically dominant, you know? And the fact that because of the way psychic powers work now, they can't be denied, they can't be miscast. So all of the problems that were facing Thousand Sons in the previous editions, poof, they're gone. If we look, in fact, I would say Thousand Sons are one of the better looking armies at the moment, definitely. From what we've seen in the overview, they look fantastic. The ability to spend your Cabal points on psychic powers that, for example, let you do a free move in your shooting phase with a unit, that's mental.
So you can just reposition yourself.
Yes, in the shooting phase, right?
Yeah.
Also, there's one of them that allows you to turn off the armor saves for a unit within a certain range. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What? If you play that correctly, you will absolutely devastate, right? But there's also, I mean, there is balance to that, because there is also like anti-psyker stuff out there, so that targets psykers or that has bespoke special rules against psykers. You know, it's kind of cool what we've seen thus far. I mean, most people, certainly amongst the Thousand Sons players, are really happy with what we've seen thus far. It looks really good. Also, it takes away some of the problems innate to psychic heavy armies. We all celebrated back in 7th Ed when the psychic phase came back, because it was a throwback. You know, we were all very happy. We were all sort of like, oh, this is like 2nd Ed, right? We've gone back to having a psychic phase. That makes psychic armies really fun again. It didn't make them really fun again. It actually made them a bookkeeping exercise. When you run up against the psychic phase as, say, a Thousand Sons or Grey Knights or Eldari player, what happens is the game stops. It stops, and your opponent can go away and make a cup of tea while you sort out, well, these guys have these psychic powers, they can do this, they generate this amount of Cabal points, so I'll do that with these guys, then I'll cast this with this guy, and it goes on, and it goes on forever. It really does. It is kind of dull, you know? Mm-hmm. Doesn't happen now in 10th Ed, because psychic powers, the way psychers work in 10th Ed is they are much more specialized. Their offensive psychic powers are weapons that are used largely in the shooting phase. Great, brilliant. They just fire, just like anything else, right? But they have additional benefits being psychic powers. And then their buffing powers work in other phases, like in the command phase or whatever. So it's all good. It's all good. Not only that, but the psychic powers they have are on their sheets. You don't have to refer to that lore or this lore or whatever. The psychic powers they can use are on their sheets. Or they are in that list of special psychic powers that's in the Cabal of Sorcerers list. It's great. And what I really love is they've obviously gone into this thinking, well, what really characterizes each of the armies? What is it we want them to be on the battlefield? And they've gone, right, okay, the Thousand Sons are the psychic army. That's it. There isn't anyone else. They're the psychic army, so that's what they do. That's what they do better than anybody else. Grey Knights used to be the Imperial equivalent, and they still do have fairly decent psychic abilities, but they're nowhere near what the Thousand Sons can do. They do other things. They do different things now, like they're anti-demon. You know, they can teleport. Their big thing is that they have this teleport ability where they can deep strike significant swathes of their army in the first turn, which is phenomenal. It's really cool.
God, yeah.
It's
the deep strikes really far in as well. It's like ridiculous.
Glorious. I mean, funnily enough, demons have an equivalent of that. Like the arch enemies of the Grey Knights obviously have a demonic, chaotic equivalent of that, because they can do something similar. They also mess with battle shock, with morale, which in this edition of the game is way more meaningful than it's been since 2nd edition, I would say. Morale has always been a problem in these games. They've always had issues with it. And those armies that affect morale or that specialize in affecting morale have always been a bit naff, to be honest, because it's just never been that big a deal since 2nd Ed. Here, when a unit is battle shocked, i.e. when they take a leadership test and they fail, they lose their OBSEC. They can't hold objectives anymore. That is huge. That's huge. That means that you could have a unit holding an objective that you think, oh, I've got that now. There's my victory points for this turn, and suddenly they don't. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It can change the way games go. It's actually really effective now. So if you've got, like, say, Chaos Knights have got this special overarching ability which powerfully affects battle shock and morale. It forces enemy units within a certain range of knight models to take battle shock tests at a disadvantage. So holding objectives in the face of Chaos Knights is going to be really hard. So winning games is going to be really hard in the face of Chaos Knights. It's great. It's really cool.
I mean, one of the things I'm really excited about is how different each army looks like it's going to play.
Mm-hmm.
There's a very much baked in, boiled in from the very start off that every army has its own identity on the battlefield, and there isn't a sense of this one but evil.
Yeah,
or,
absolutely.
Yeah, or this one, but we're using different words to change the feeling of it.
Yep.
That's one of the things I really like, is that for the most part, if something is a too tough to die, everything has the same name.
Yes,
and it's the same thing. So when you say it, everybody knows what you mean.
Everybody knows what you mean. You just look at the universal special rule, and that's it, right? You've got it. Oh, thank you. Thank you, God. Thank you, Zeech, Slana. It just makes it, because, of course, I mean, one of the problems with the removal of USR's universal special rules is that you had the same rule cropping up again and again and again and again, but under different names.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's one of the things Ninth Ed did to Excess, which was have the same rule again and again and again and again. But in some cases, the same army had it under different names.
Yeah.
And it was ridiculous.
It was absurd.
Looking at you, you Tyranids.
Tyranids, Death Guard had that quite a lot going on. I mean, one of the ones I've spoken about this in a private, a Fluffenhammer adjacent video, but one of the ones that caused people consternation was the Death Guard. There was a lot of sort of the sky is falling over the Death Guard because they don't have what they've had for a couple of editions, which is one of their resilient special rules like feel no pain and whatnot across the entire army. But having looked at it, having looked at the preview, I must say I think there is a degree of overreaction and hyperbole going on, because you can't have that in 10th Ed.
No.
The way the game system works, you just can't have an entire army, especially a Space Marine army, by the way, where your basic troops have 2 wounds and a 3+ armor save. Not to mention the fact they've got the Mark of Nurgle, so they're all the base level toughness you've got is 5, right? Your Terminators are now toughness 6, by the way, which is insane.
Do a Terminator army.
Yeah, which you can do now, by the way, because there's no force organization chart. If you want to do an entire army of Blight Lord Terminators, do it. Go for it.
Can we just take a moment of silence to allow the force organization sheet to just pass into the fucking abyss?
You God.
Jesus.
I hated that since 3rd Ed. I know why they did it. They wanted to cohere the game. They wanted it to be a bit more balanced, so they didn't want people creating the killer armies that you got in 2nd Ed, where there was entire like dreadnought armies and whatnot. But you know what? That was the fun. That's part of the fun. It's part of the hobby, right? If you want to collect your army like that, if that's the army you want, then you should be able to do it. Yeah,
absolutely.
It looks like 10th Ed brings that back because the force organization chart is gone. That's not to say there is not imperative to take like troop choices, because troop choices are the ones that have your better obsec, right? So to win games, you don't need troop choices anymore. You're not forced to take them, but you would be at an advantage to take them. Yeah.
Once again, it's something that's baked into the rules rather than something that's slotted onto the side to change how you play.
To force how you collect your
absolutely.
armies, right?
Yeah. So the more troops you've got, the more you've got to hold objectives.
Exactly.
And that's what they're there for. That's exactly the point of them. They also get more objective points for holding objectives, for the difference between that and, say, Space Marine Scout Squad, or whatever they're called nowadays, to a I don't know, an army that's entirely made out of killer cans.
Exactly right.
You hold an objective with the Space Marines, you're going to get more objective points. You hold it with the killer cans, you're going to have less objective points. It's a really simple solution.
Really simple.
I'm all in for it.
Me too. And the way it balances out is that the army that's made of killer cans will be more killy. So you can actually, what you would be playing to do with that army is get a wipeout, right?
Yeah.
Just remove them from the objectives. That's the way it balances out. It's really, actually, very subtle and very clever. The way they've done it is that they've introduced a new characteristic, which is the OBSEC characteristic. You know, each unit has its own OBSEC number, which means you total the number from the models in the unit, and if it's greater than your opponent's OBSEC total, then you control the objective, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And troops tend to have a higher OBSEC characteristic than non-troops.
Yep.
It's so elegant. It's so simple, and it works really, 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 really well. I like that a lot, I've got to say. I think that's utterly brilliant. But yeah, I mean, the way the Death Guard work now is they're more kind of aggressive. So they've kept their special rule from Ninth Ed, which is their contagions of Nurgle. So they fill the air with like disease and whatnot. And the way that works is they have the army-wide special rule that all of the units rather, have an aura around them that expands as the game goes on. It starts off at 3 inches, then expands to 6, then to, I think, to 12. And any enemy unit within that aura has -1 toughness, which is bonkers, isn't it?
Yeah, in this version of the game, a -1 toughness really does put you at a disadvantage.
Well, for even for Space Marines, that's bad. That brings them down for the most part to toughness 3, so they're going to be in trouble. But for units like Genestealer cults, Eldari, for Drukhari, for Tyranids, which for the most part consist of like toughness 3 anyway, they're in trouble. They're going to go squish, right?
Absolutely, and I think that's a really good way of if you're fast, your armor can be really messed around with, and you can be brought down by a good shot.
Yep.
And that's it. And the trick is, of course, to keep moving and to stay out of people's range.
Exactly.
And it changes the way the game plays, where there is very much a built-in ability to play the game as the race would be.
Yes, as they would play, right? I mean, look, the way the Death Guard have been balanced out, because they look like they're going to be really damn tough and very difficult to take down, is that they're slow.
Yeah, massively
Which is how
slow.
that makes sense. They're supposed to be. They're supposed to be. They're these big, bloated, diseased, shuffling bags of pus and organs and whatnot. It's how they're meant to be, right?
Yeah, yes, otherwise known as Wolverhampton.
They're relentless and remorseless, and that's how they work. As we were saying before we came on, having looked at the way the rules work and having looked at the rules we've seen released for the Death Guard, and we've got a lot now, by the way, a lot more than we got with the overview, because we've now got the rules for Mortarion and for a couple of other units too. I think they're going to be great in 10th Ed. I think they're going to be amazing, actually. I would not be surprised when it all dies down, when people have settled into playing. It would not surprise me at all to see the Death Guard sort of creeping up the leaderboards and, like the competitive scene really taking them on board, because I think they're going to be evil to face.
I actually I'm going to put down my little imaginary £5 note here. Right, here it goes. It's down. It's on the table. I'm going to say we're going to see the orcs really creep up.
Oh, they look great. They do. They look great. The Warg stuff is amazing.
The fact that without the Force Organization chart, which should never have been in there for orcs.
Not for orcs. I mean, come on. Well, it is, isn't it? Orcs, chaos. Why would orcs or chaos demon armies? A Force Organization, like Khorne demon armies. Oh, they conform to this, do they? All right, Zeech armies with all the cackling horrors and things capering around and like morphing in and out of one another. Oh, but they conform to this. They've got to have like 1 HQ and 2 troops choices. I mean, come on.
One of the things I picked up on, without the Force Organization chart, you are going to get such beautifully narrative orc armies.
Yes.
That excites me. That excites me big time.
Armies of war buggies. So you're going to get Gork and Walker armies, which is great. You're going to get like squadrons of like the the stompers and things. It's going to be great. It's going to be great fun. You're going to get all Boar Boy armies and that kind of thing, or whatever they are now, Squig Boys, riders. You're going to get all of this. Yeah, you're going to get all of this stuff. It's going to be great fun. You're going to get Terminator Space Marine companies at long last, which we should have had forever, basically. You're going to get Tyrannid armies that consist entirely of big monsters or entirely of swarms. You're going to get Guard armies that are tank phalanxes. It's grand. It's grand. You're going to get your Black Legion, like Terminator companies, your Bringers of Despair. Yes, please.
Well, there's... already I knew that I was going to be doing a Voton army for 10th, because I really like the Voton. I think they're great, especially when they're done G2.
I love their rules, the grudge system. Yes.
It's very much in my wheelhouse.
Isn't it good? They're dwarfs. They're like proper fantasy dwarfs in science fiction now.
Yep. The only downside is that I still think the hover bikes need to be on trikes, but
well, you can do that, can't you?
That's just me.
You can sort that out,
And I really want to do my Terminator Deathwing.
Possible now.
The Cloud Runner's forces. I really want to do that.
Have you seen the Lions rules?
Yes, I have.
Wow, he's good. Wow, is he good?
Considering when he hit 9th Ed, he was okay.
Yeah, he was all right. He wasn't he was like Gilliman, wasn't he? Gilliman had that problem. He was okay. He was fine, but he was never going to go toe to toe with Mortarion or even with Magnus, who was not the close combat Primarch, but Magnus could have easily dealt with him. But now, woof. Wow.
But one of the things that's playing in the back of my head now is an idea. You get those Orc helicopters?
Yes.
I really want to have an entire army of Orc helicopters.
Brilliant. Which you can do now.
Yeah. This is the type of stuff that should... this is what the game part is. It sings to me. It sings to me.
You're going to start to see the most creative, interesting armies. The kind of armies that you kind of got back in Second Ed, before there was a Force Org chart, where you could structure armies like this. I think that's what you're going to start to see, these weird, wacky, strange, unbalanced army lists that people play for fun.
I honestly think you're going to start seeing stuff that it's going to not be a million miles away from what Rogue Trader had.
No, I think you're right.
You're going to see some really interesting armies being put together, and not just like the meta armies. I think that's going to be interesting to watch, because the shackles are off. What can you make?
What can you do? I mean, the way you structure armies now, you can experiment wildly. I remember, don't get me wrong, I love 9th Ed, I loved 8th Ed as well. But one of the problems that we've had since 3rd Ed is that damn Force organization chart. So you'd be sitting there with your codex and your army list, and you'd be going, well, I'd love to take this, but I can't because I haven't got enough troops to fit in. I need to do this, I need to spend points on that. One of the big problems that's bedeviled 40k is the imbalance there. So you've had some armies where you would happily take the troops because they were great, but others, they were attacks. They were attacks so you could take the things you really wanted to take. Not anymore. Not anymore. By the way, have you seen the data sheet for the Rubrique?
I have seen the data sheet for the Rubrique.
Oh, they're so good. They're so good now. I'm over the moon. 1,000 Suns. Why is it with the 1,000 Suns? Somebody in the design studio likes the 1,000 Suns, clearly, for 10th Ed. Clearly, right?
We are desperately in need of trying to work out a way of sorting out a weekend of gaming somehow.
Because I want to take my 1,000 Suns now. I really want to see how they function. The Rubrique are like just great troops, right? They're just great troops options. Really elite Space Marines, with really good firepower and defense and the lovely little psychic shenanigans going on. They're great. They're really, really good little troops. I'm like, wow, what is this all about? This is fantastic.
I think now is a really good time to point something out.
Yes.
Right. So over the years of this this illustrious podcast, there's been a joke that Adam will do something, and then Games Workshop will announce something that may take the wind out of my sails, or is a little bit familiar to what I've done, or is somewhat annoying. Right?
That's not a joke, is it, Adam? It's a fundamental law of the universe, right?
It is, right? So, about 2 weeks ago, I put a thing on the Fluffenhammer Facebook, which was, would anyone like to do a Fluffen campaign? And 40k wins out. And it's like, right, cool. So we're gonna do a 40k campaign for the new edition. Then, as I am writing this fucking story,
there's lots of swearing in this episode of the Fluffenhammer.
I do apologise.
No, it's good.
I start writing a goddamn story about a world where we're going to have our little campaign.
Oh no! I know where this is going already.
For the last 3 days, I've sat on this because I wanted to do this on the show.
Oh my god. Oh dear.
Yeah.
They took the wind out of yourselves, didn't they, Adam? They created Ogrim, right?
They did.
Yeah.
My
the world where there's going to be a 40k campaign, yeah?
Yeah. So there's going to be a... Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh dear. Blasphemy.
So, yeah. Just bugger and butter. That's it. Sweet Mary and Jesus chain. It is infuriating.
Yeah, every time, right?
Yeah.
Every time.
So Ogham.
Yeah.
Which Ogrim's a great name. Honestly, the fact that we've got a world called Ogrim has made me.
I love the symbol for it as well for the campaign. Yeah. The world with the tyrannid jaws coming up underneath. It looks great.
Yeah. Is it just a world of Ogrins, or is it something? Do we know anything about it?
Grand. That'd be brilliant, but it's not. No, it's an imperial world. It's like a big hive world. There's all sorts of stuff going on the surface. There's going to be like lots of areas that are dedicated to each race where they're interfering. But it's primarily Imperium versus Tyranids.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's Imperium versus Tyranids, but every other race can get in there and have a good old
getting involved.
Saga. Yeah, it's and it looks very fun. It's the first time that there has been a. This is why I didn't fucking stop and think. There hasn't been a proper narrative campaign done like this in years. So any campaign that they've done has been through books.
Yeah.
It's been through the Arcs of Omen. It's been through the Psychic Awakening. Yeah, it's always been done like that way. To have
that kind of thing. Yeah.
To have one where the winners, so to speak, whoever scores the most victories, actually has a narrative part in the campaign.
Yeah.
The last time that was Abaddon's 13th Crusade.
Was that the last one?
No, that was the last one.
Because this is the original. That
was so messed up. They never did it again.
Back in third ed.
Fourth, I think.
Third, that was the Abaddon's 13th Crusade, because they released that special codex. Remember, the Lost and the Damned to go with. And of course they fucked it up because Chaos won. Chaos just swept the board, because of course it did. It had the 3.5 codex. It's just like the best codex ever.
There must have been one after it, because I'm sure there was one for 5th ed.
Was there? Oh god, I don't remember. Oh no, you are right. There was Medusa 4.
That's right.
Yeah, Medusa 4. There was, and it was Chaos. It was, but it was more small scale compared to like Cadia.
Yeah.
That's right. You're absolutely right, because that was at the very, 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 very end of the 3.5 codice's life.
That's right.
It was just before the 4.0 codex came out. Just before.
Yeah. My God, that 3.5 codex, it lived a life.
Didn't it just? I mean, the only problem with it was so good it dominated. Like every other army was Chaos. And every other Chaos army was Iron Warriors.
Yeah.
Because they were just so good.
Oh, man. But yeah, it's really cool to see something like this take place again.
Yeah,
it's been a very, very long time, and I love the map. I'm always happy when we get a map. I'm a sucker for a map. What can I say? And there's so much stuff in here that I really like. Ferractum, the industrial world. Jorvengast, the feudal world. Kramatos, the mortuary world. Which I think is actually the second time we've come across Kramatos. Because if you remember a certain little anthology series, the Wicked and the Damned,
Yes, that's right.
they all meet on Kramatos.
Yes, that's right. The mortuary world, yeah?
Yep.
Yeah,
So-
oh my god, that's grand. Oh, that's going to be fun.
Yeah, so I also quite like the Dawn Wall, the asteroid field. So we want something to remember Rogel Dawn by. How about some rocks?
Now that's some rocks, yeah, makes
Yeah.
sense, you know.
Yeah, works for me. Yeah. And of course, you've got Sanctum, the White Templars chapter planet, is
it is.
sitting right there.
Oh, that's interesting. So they've got like a whole Space Marine chapter there, yeah?
Yep. And I love the fact it's the White Templars as well. That's,
Yeah, one of the lesser known. I mean, they're like the Black Templars, aren't they? But they're white, basically.
Yeah.
They're very similar. You know?
Are they from the Imperial Fist or from somebody else?
They're from the Imperial Fist. In fact, they are derivations of the Black Templars, so they are like several steps removed, but they're a splinter of the Black Templars.
Okay.
it's just rather cool, and I'm interested by the triad, the Star Forts.
That's interesting.
And what's in the quarantine zone? I want to know. But yeah, it's really cool to see a really big campaign take place.
It's nice. It's always fun, isn't it? I just hope they do something with it. You know, that's the big concern. They did. I mean, this is an introduction, so it's fine, and they've deliberately contained it to one system, so that's good because it means that they can muck about a little bit without unbalancing the universe too much. You know?
Yeah. Well, this is meant to be the Leviathan's massive push. This is the
push,
starting
right?
point. So this is everyone's just kind of gone, the Arcs of Omen, what's going on? Oh, shit, what's happening over there?
It's basically like everyone versus Tyranids, right?
Yeah, pretty much. And other people joining in to just help try and whittle down the Imperial numbers or vice versa. So
Is
it's
the
quite
assumption, though, that people will just play Tyranids to have something interesting happen? Because if Space Marines win, wouldn't it potentially take a little bit of the wind out of the sails of the Tyranids?
I suppose it would, but then
narratively, obviously.
Yeah.
Narratively, yeah. But then again, I'm sure they've written it so that they can get around that. You know what they're like.
Yeah, it would be Ogrim has been freed from Tyranid infection, and they've had to exterminate the entire planet to do it.
Something like that,
Yeah,
or
and-
like there's still seeds of like Tyranid influence, and that, or maybe that wasn't the main target, or something like that. You know.
But of course, because it's set on one world, it is literally just a one world. And how many worlds do Tyranids eat a week?
Yeah, it's a fair point. Because the whole narrative thrust of Taint, of course, is that Leviathan is attacking on all fronts, right?
Yeah, Leviathan.
Everywhere, isn't it? It's just
There's
like surging up through the galactic plane, yeah?
There's a really cool little thing, and I can't remember where I read it, and it was the idea that Leviathan went dormant, and just basically kept splitting and floating off, and it then woke up and started the processes of rebuilding and getting its forces. So it's now everywhere.
This is the 10th, the 9th Ed Tyranid Codex set this up. So Leviathan, there was the first. What Tyrannic war did Leviathan come in? It's the
Second, I think. Wasn't
is it the second?
Behemoth was the first.
That's right. Behemoth was the first. Then was it Kraken second?
Oh, Kraken might have been second.
I think Kraken was second. Leviathan may have been third. I can't remember. But when Leviathan, what they considered to be the main tendril of Leviathan kind of like thrust into the universe, it split. It fractured into like loads of different like Hydra heads and became lots of little hive fleets that have now started to evolve and develop and swell into their own derivations of Leviathan.
Yeah.
So now it's like it's the biggest hive fleet ever.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah. I love the idea of just like these dormant hive fleets just floating away, just wherever the galactic winds take them, and they just splinter off and end up in different places, and then this unspoken signal, they all wake up and just start, and
It's great because it has
Ooh,
effects on
yeah.
other armies as well. Obviously, the Gene Stealer cults, obviously. They're going to be way more of them, obviously. And they're
Yeah.
going to be way more active now.
Yeah, it's. I think you'll see a lot more gene stealer cults in the narrative as just these different cults become more. Well, as they start uprising.
Yeah, as they start uprising, as they start spreading, like from world to world, right? I mean, also you'll see people playing them because the rules are really good as well.
Yeah.
They look great. I mean, have you seen that thing that allows them to like recycle their troops?
Yep.
bonkers.
Wave after wave of unstoppable. Yeah, it's
Utterly
mental.
bonkers, but it's brilliant. It's utterly,
That's the same for the Imperial Guard or something as well, isn't it? They can
There
kind of
is a
bring
similar mechanic,
refreshment kind of dudes in.
yeah, a similar mechanic, definitely. It's very cool. It makes sense for both armies, you know?
Right, moving on then. Shall we talk about the anti-psyche hunter? Anti-psyche? No, anti-psyker hunter that...
The Psychophage.
Indeed,
Yeah,
indeed.
isn't he lovely? Isn't he lovely? He's really scary if you play a psychic army, I can tell you. He's really scary because he gets like special, all of his attacks, his close combat ones and his long range attacks have the anti-psyker rule, which means that he gets like benefits to hit and he gets benefits to wound and he gets mortal wounds as well against psychers. So he is a nasty piece of work. And he's a great model as well. I think he's lovely. I love the new Tyranid models. They've gone really alien with them, which I like.
They're not what I was hoping for, which was like everything looks completely different. But I'm going to admit, they are they're doing it for me.
Me too. I mean,
I do agree with Andy that the winged guy doesn't work.
Oh, the Tyranid Prime, I think he's called. I think
We shall call him Primophage, and we'll be done with that. But outside of that, I really do like just how... If someone told me that the Blood Bowl sculptors had done these ones, I believe them.
There's a lot of character, isn't there? They're like little dioramas, you know?
Yeah, there's loads of energy to them. There's a lot of exaggeration to them, and that works for me.
Which is 40k. I mean, that's the way it should be always. It needs to be bigger and sillier, you know? That's 40k. That's how it started, right? That's how it's always been.
Sculpt silly, paint serious. That's how it should look.
Yeah, go for it. And these are like proper Lovecraftian monsters, aren't they? I mean, the incredible elaboration of that face, the jaw that opens up, the tendrils and everything. It's great.
I really want to model like a tiny little Ripper Swarm or something on his tongue, just going, hello.
Yeah.
Do you not want to put a goblin in there?
I've stuffed goblins into enough things' mouths over the years.
I mean, it's even got like barbs on his tongues and everything. It's just mad, isn't it? It's great.
Oh my god, he's a swan. He's what happens when the Tyranids get a swan.
What's that? Each time this model makes a melee attack that targets a unit that is below its starting strength, add 1 to the hit roll. Oh god, if that target is also below half strength, add 1 to the wound roll as well. Oh god, so he's going to be just like ripping through everything he touches.
The torrent ability means this vile belch of psycho-corrosive ash automatically hits its target, whilst it ignores cover, prevents people from hiding in terrain. Once you've inflicted some harm, or got an allied swarm to do it for you, the psychophage goes into a feeding frenzy, like a shark detecting a drop of blood in the water.
Awesome.
Nom 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 nom.
I like Tyranids that eat things.
Yes.
I don't know about you. I've got a thing about the Tyranid models that eat things, like the Haruspex does.
Yeah.
You know, I love that. I love that to bits.
Oh, it is. It's he's a beauty. He is. I liked him. I liked him a lot.
I just want him to paint. He looks amazing, doesn't he?
He does. It really does. Let's travel through the mortal realms and the old world all in one, shall we?
Yeah, because there ain't much. Let's be honest, it's not a great deal.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started. So we've got another little look back at the different miniatures, and this time it's Archeon of the End Times.
Yeah, my
What about the one
god.
without the horse, though? Because isn't that older?
No, the one without the horse was actually a special miniature. You could only get it via mail order, I believe.
Oh, really? Okay.
You couldn't buy it in like it came out just after this one, the Archaon on the horse, and you could. I think it was part of a special campaign. It was when the Storm of Chaos campaign was happening. I had to collect something like tokens or something to get him. It was very, very hard to get. So if you've got that miniature,
Oh, wow.
Somewhere Big Swinging D just goes, actually,
keep a hold of
Of
it.
course
you know?
I have him.
Keep a hold of it, you know. I mean, that's one of my favorite Archaon miniatures. Because do you remember the original one?
I'm looking at it now.
Original one from way back when. This is from when Archaon first came about.
Mm-hmm.
There he is. There he is. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think he's fine. He's got that
He's
100 look for that
alright.
edition.
He's
Why's he got a Blood Bowl football on his base?
I don't know.
I know.
Is it a Blood Bowl football?
No, it's a head. It's a knight's head.
Oh, it must just be the angle because it does look like a football.
This was the Archaon that was released for the Champions of Chaos book that came alongside the Realms of Chaos book. So the Realms of Chaos book from that era was so full of stuff they couldn't put the special characters in because there were 12 special characters in Chaos back then. So they had to create a separate book to include them all. And
Champions
Archaon
of Chaos,
was the prime move because this is when he was introduced into the narrative, obviously, and changed everything. The first time we had the notion of the Ever-Chosen of Chaos to unify the forces of Chaos in the old world. And that was his miniature. It was all right. But I tell you what, in the game, he was mental.
Yeah.
In the game, he killed everything he touched. They did in White Dwarf this wonderful thing called it was like a gladiatorial arena where they put together all of the best special characters from each army and got them to fight against one another to see who was the best one. Then they threw in a wild card, which was a bloodthirster, and the last 3 alive were Nagash, Archaon, and the bloodthirster because. Bloodthirster was a monster back then. Nagash almost killed him, but Archaon hacked him down. Archaon hacked him down with the Slayer of Kings. Because if he activated the Slayer of Kings back then, I think he got like 10 strength, 10 attacks that ignored armor saves. It was ridiculous. It was absolutely insane. But the Bloodthirster killed him. So the special character in Fantasy Battle back then wasn't a special character at all. It was a Bloodthirster.
It always was at that time, wasn't it?
Because back then, Bloodthirsters were just insane. They could, when they said in their description they are the equivalent of armies, they actually meant that. They were literally the equivalent of armies back then. But the fact that Archaon slew all the others and got that close, it's pretty impressive. He was a nasty piece of work back then, but the miniature, it was fine. It was fine, but it didn't really capture the majesty of what Archaon was supposed to be.
It was better than Nagash, was it?
It was better than Nagash, that's true. That's true.
I will say that the sword in the original miniature is so much better than any other weapon he's ever had.
I like how it's got a little face on it and it's screaming. That's fun.
Yeah. But the later one, the one that came with what edition was it? It was Hordes of Chaos back then. It's so good, isn't it? Beautiful? I mean, that was when he became the Ever-Chosen. That was when he actually got the Eye of Shirian and the Crown of Command, the last of the 6 treasures that would
Talisman.
That's it. That's right. That would mark him as the Ever-Chosen. And that was when they did the Storm of Chaos campaign. That big campaign that swept across the old world. Where Sigmar came back.
Times.
Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Way back when.
I do like that Dorgar. That Dorgar is just amazing.
Isn't it good? Isn't it lovely? I mean, that is such a beautiful miniature. And again, he was a monster. Oh my god, he was one of those special characters that was so unbalanced you could only take him in armies of 2,000 points or more. And back then, for that edition, 2,000 points was ambitious. That was a lot of miniatures.
Oh, good god. Yeah, the bloody siege level of armies. Oh, no.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Prepare to have a weekend playing.
Yep, exactly that. exact. What edition was it, Adam? That this guy came out. Was it fifth?
Yeah, I think it was 5th.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was 5th.
Maybe it's 6th.
I don't think it was.
It was before they'd fractured the Chaos Army. So when you got your Horde Chaos book, it was everything. It was demons, it was beastmen, it was everything all together in one book.
You might be right, actually. 2004, that could be 6th.
That would be 6th then, yeah. So, wow.
Yeah, I'm just looking at. I will say, the current miniature, I still don't like very much.
Still not a fan of Archaon.
No, but that art that goes with the miniature is beautiful. That looks to me like a Soul Calibur.
Yeah.
Bit of art.
That's nowhere they've definitely, when it comes to AOS, they've looked at video games, and it's been largely Dark Souls, let's be honest. It's been Dark Souls, Bloodborne, hasn't it, you know?
If the miniature looked more like that bit of art, I would be actually quite into it, yeah.
It's about due an update, isn't it? Let's be honest.
They're not updating that thing.
No, they're not. I know they're not. But it is about due, because that came out in the end times, didn't it? Or was it the beginning of AOS?
I want to say that came out at the beginning of AOS.
The beginning of AOS. I mean, I like it personally, but it's a little. Oh no, it was Nagash that came out in the end times, wasn't it? That's right, because he had his resurrection then, didn't he? That's right.
That's right. Good old Nagash.
Yeah, that's right. Because Archaon's kind of the Chaos equivalent of that miniature, isn't he now?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a bit overwrought. I think that's the problem I've got with
it's bonkers. I mean, it is bonkers. There's so much going on in it. That's kind of my aesthetic for Chaos, I'll be honest. I like madness. I like it when they go completely bonkers with the Chaos miniatures. Just like, put more sculpting on it. More, please. No, give it 5 heads.
Yeah, I mean,
6 arses.
What are they going to do when they finally put Slaanesh back on the Pantheon? Because
that's a fair point, actually, because he's, that must happen eventually, right? Narratively, that must happen eventually. He is going to get free, right?
Yeah.
They'll probably make it a campaign when it happens. It may only be the end of Third Ed. Maybe that's what will happen, right? Who knows,
I can see that happening.
Because that's going to be bad news for the elves, isn't it? For the elven races. They are not going to
Can you imagine?
Very well.
You get like 4 amazing books, and then Slaanesh just wanders off into the darkness and never to be seen again.
Never to be seen again, and the Hedonites are like, what?
For fuck's sakes.
Well, to be fair, they've got Sinessa and Dexessa now, so there's
true.
There's someone out there for them. So,
man, yeah, I'm just looking at that. It's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted that miniature to paint up. Actually, the big Archaon.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to put it together, and also just to play one game with him. Because have you ever seen him in AOS?
Oh yeah, he's a monster. He's ridiculous. Insane.
It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, Nagash has got the Hand of Dust, which is really nasty. If he rolls 2 6s with his attacks with the Slayer of Kings, the miniature just dies.
Yep.
Doesn't matter how many wounds it has. It gets no shrugs, no ward saves, nothing. It's just removed. The language in the rule doesn't say it dies. It's removed. So none of the rules that affect like resurrection or anything doesn't work. Doesn't mean anything. It disappears. It's dead.
It's sent off into the realm of chaos.
It's crazy. He is one of those miniatures where like you only play it narratively, right?
Yeah. Well, you say that.
Yeah. Do not play that competitively. Any tournament worth their salt is going to say, no, you're not bringing that.
Mm-hmm. And then they end up with an army of 5 of them. What?
Yeah. Mind you, Nagash is the same. To be fair, Nagash is kind of the same. His Hand of Dust ability is mental.
Nagash has been much lessened in the current edition.
Yeah, he's not as badass as he used to be.
No, as he was during the Soul Wars. Jesus Christ, Nagash in the Soul Wars was insane.
Yes, he was. Which makes sense, because he has been weakened by his defeat by Teclis, hasn't he? So he's still badass. I mean, he's still ridiculous.
Did I ever tell you guys about the putting Nagash into the tournament that was at my local Games Workshop's anniversary store?
No.
So the idea was that it didn't matter if it was 40k or AOS, you could play it in the tournament. And Nagash killed a Tal battle suit.
That was fun.
It was rise skeletons, shoot, smash, dead.
That's so silly.
And this poor little kid, it's about 15, 16, he fired everything the battle suit had. When the smoke cleared, Nagash is still standing there. It's like,
He is like that.
why isn't he dead?
Because he doesn't. That's the thing. He's a pain, Nagash is.
42 dice and Nagash survives. It was great.
And that's like, you're never going to get that in AOS.
No.
You're never going to get that amount of dice on a shooting, ever in any army. So
depends what the Cities of Sigmar end up looking like.
Depends. It does. If they've got their cannons and their artillery, maybe.
But praying for Cogfort.
We've seen a few more of them, haven't we?
That was the story I was trying to find and couldn't find. The guy's
seen
horse.
A few knight guys, yeah. It's like I was shocked by that. It's the best horse I think I've seen in a miniatures game.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It looks amazing. It's got if you look at the musculature on the legs, it looks legitimate. It looks like an actual rendition of a real horse, rather than a sort of cartoony, sort of fantasy horse.
Andy said it last episode, and I fully support and agree with him. The Cities of Sigmar, when they get released, they need to be the poster children for Age of Sigmar going forward.
Yeah,
absolutely they do.
I think they are going to be very popular because, they're going to appeal to people who like fantasy battle, the old guard. But the miniatures, what we've seen thus far, are so good. People are going to want to collect them anyway, right?
I really want to. I really want to do a Cities of Sigmar army. If you guys went back in time to the beginning of Age of Sigmar and said, "Hey, Adam, you're going to want to do an entirely human army," I would have said, "Ha!
You'd be like, what? In Age of Sigmar? Prog rock album cover of miniatures board games? I don't think so."
I'm looking for an image of that guy on the horse as well, and I can't
I'll find it.
No. It's the only release on the Twitter or something, because it's not on the...
No,
it's not
I couldn't see it.
the page.
No, I don't know. I don't remember where I saw it, actually. It may have been in conversation with you guys via message,
I think, Andy, you shared the picture onto the thing.
Over Facebook. It would have been from Twitter then.
He's a beaut. He's an absolute... But everything we've seen in Age of Sigmar, there's that priest guy that we saw with the relic.
Yeah, with the 4 different builds you can do.
Yes!
Yeah, man.
The Dawnbringer Crusades are obviously going to be a real focus for the Cities of Sigmar, and that's great. If you're going to be able to do the actual caravans, in a game.
Yeah.
Oh, with all these
I found him, put him on stream. It is this one, right? The one with the helmet, right?
That's the one. Look at the horse. This sounds really weird, I know, but look at the horse.
Well, it's not just how good the modeling is; it's also the paint job. They've got that weird, patchy look that some horses get for whatever reason.
Yeah. No, it's gorgeous.
He looks like a Reichsguard knight.
He does. He does. That's what they've gone for, isn't it? That's kind of what they've looked back at.
It's the Reichsguard knight via... it's like Renaissance Europe via Victorian clothing, and I don't know what it is, but I'm in. I'm absolutely in.
It's an interesting mix of historical elements, isn't it? Married together for a fantasy setting, and it really works. I mean, the barding on the horse is kind of ahistorical. That's its own thing, but it works. I mean, it looks great. It looks really, really, really good. And these guys look like they're going to be tough as well, don't they?
Yeah, yeah.
For human knights, they look like they're going to be pretty damn tough.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about bloody time. But anyhow, it's... I've talked to James, my friend James, about this constant, and we are throwing ideas back and forth. What do we want to do? He wants to do a very armor-heavy Cities of Sigmar. I'm thinking a Shaishian city.
Oh.
So a lot of the realm of death surrounding them. With that, it would take no work at all to start doing stuff like that.
That'd be so much fun. because I mean, like that's going to be the fun of the Cities of Sigmar, I imagine. Like customizing them according to the realm they come from.
Yeah, absolutely. But even
They're all going to be really different. You know, like the peoples from the realms of fire are very different from like the Haitians and the Jaiishians. So yeah, that's going to be loads of fun.
absolutely, and that's where the modelling part really sings to me. You know,
Oh, yeah.
how do you make this look like it's Shaiishi, and how do you make it look like it's from the realm of fire, the realm of shadow, the realm of light? You know,
Well, those who are coming in from like historical wargaming are going to have a blast because you can bring in all those influences, right?
yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, I've always imagined like the people from the realms of fire have like more Arabic and Eastern influences.
Mm-hmm.
So like Persian infantry and that kind of thing. That you could do so much. You could do so much with that.
Yeah, love them to bits. I'm really in for it, and honestly, I'd never thought that would be the thing that I would ever say. It's such a strange and unusual thing to suddenly have. Much in the same way that Andy went Imperial Guard, and I didn't see that coming, and that threw me as well.
Yeah.
Thanks,
I love
you.
the fact,
Yeah.
I love the fact you're doing Imperial Guard. It makes me so happy.
I mean, don't get me wrong. You'll never see me doing a human army in any game system. You just won't. I'm just not interested, you know. But I think these are great. I think the miniatures are lovely, and I'm very, very pleased for those people who want these. You know what I mean? Who've been kind of aching for this for a while. Because really, the people who want this kind of army they've been suffering with fantasy battles also rans for God knows how long, haven't they?
Oh, absolutely. And do you know what makes me super happy? There isn't a single stupid trouser to be seen.
There's not yet.
Not yet.
They've all got sensible breeches, right?
Not yet.
None of these big fluffy poofy bits that just flop around and stop you fighting. You know.
Wait for the basic peasants to come in.
Yeah.
They'll be dressed in rags, turnips, and shit. Well, that's how I'm going to paint them anyhow. Yeah, not a single fucking stupid trouser. I dare not even say its name, just in case.
Have you not seen like some of the Hedonites of Slaanesh miniatures, Adam?
Oh, I've seen those.
They've got some amazing breeches they'd have when they're wearing breeches, of course.
Of course, yeah, with various bits chopped out.
Yeah.
And of the trousers, yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Right then, to round everything off, let's have a look at Cyphers Kane is returning in a new novel and a collection.
What's this all about?
It's been a while since there's been a new Cyphers Kane book, and I am really happy because
the artwork's good, isn't it? It's really cool.
Oh, I love Kane. I just adore those books and
Barry
the audio
Kane.
books.
Yeah.
The audiobooks are amazing. They're books that understand the difference between a written word and a spoken word. And they do a lot of work to make it something special being an audiobook. There's so much in the audiobooks. I would even say don't get the books, get the audiobooks, because they do so much in those audiobooks to make it into a really interesting experience. So it's like they're all audiobooks, but they've got multiple narrators.
Yeah.
So you've got the main narrator who does all of the Kane stuff, because Kane's books are always in first person. First person. Kane talking
So
about
from
what
his perspective.
what he's doing at the moment rather than looking back. Then you've got the Inquisitor that is compiling all of his work. She's talking in third person, and you have a different
Vale, yeah.
Yeah, and you have a different person doing her voice, and then all of the excerpts and briefings and all those bits, they're all done by different actors, so you get a different feel and different sound for every single bit.
That's nice. That's interesting.
It's really clever, and it works so well.
Yeah, narratively, that's kind of fun, right?
It is. It really is, and the fact that you get like, oh freaking hell, that some of the excerpt, the 40k travelogue guy is one of my favorite. It's so good. It's so good having. And then they keep going back to like a phoenix from the flames, the worst book that was ever written in the 41st millennium, but it's the only one that's got a lot of this information in it, so they have to keep going back to it.
To go back to it.
Yeah.
There's no choice.
It's so good.
I mean,
And you
there's
could,
kind of a lot riding on this, really, isn't it? Because they've got such a pedigree.
oh yeah,
Cyrus Kane books. I mean, they are one of those series that kind of made the Black Library, right? Originally,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean the Kane books and you
Gaunt's
got the Kane books,
Ghosts
Gaunt's
and
Ghosts and Felix and
Storm of
Gotrek.
Iron was
Yeah,
huge, obviously. And
yeah,
later, of course, the original Horus Heresy books.
yeah, yeah. But no, it's, honestly, there isn't a bad Kane book.
No,
They're all. Sandy Mitchell is one of those guys who he turns up, and you're glad he has.
yeah.
He's like a Dembski Mountain, but with a real sense of fun.
There's more of a bounce, isn't there? Bowden
Absolutely.
goes for like the deep. He goes for like
Yeah.
the real darkness, like the psychological darkness of this universe. Whereas Mitchell goes for like the fun of it,
Yeah,
almost edging towards the silliness of it, which was part of like the original 40k back when it was Rogue Trader.
yeah. Well, that's where Mitchell comes from.
Yeah, the 2000 AD stuff. Effectively, that's
Yeah.
what it is, isn't it? It's the 2000 AD stuff, which is
Yeah.
a huge part of Warhammer 40k.
Of course, Sandy Mitchell's Alex Stewart. It's the pseudonym is used for
Yeah.
40k and
Yeah.
only. But I mean, yeah, Sandy Mitchell actually has one of the first stories written in the Deathwing anthology.
Yeah,
Yeah, going right the way back there, and
back
that's
to the beginning, like back to
Yeah.
like when the beginning of 40k fiction, effectively.
yeah, absolutely, and it's. Oh god, I love the Kane books. So I'm overjoyed to get more Kane. Yeah,
See it come back. Yeah, it's a bit of a coup, isn't it? It's going to be big. It's going to be a
Oh,
big
yeah.
one.
yeah, it's it makes me so happy. It's like,
And I would not at all be surprised to see new models.
oh, I hope so.
I would
if,
not at all be surprised.
If a new Kane model comes out, I might have to actually buy that just to paint, just to have
Just
it.
paint it up. It needs to be based on that bit of artwork where he's looking very pleased with himself
Yeah.
in the ruins. It's got to be based on that, because that would be an amazing miniature, right?
Aye, absolutely. It'd be cool to have like Kane Vale and oh crap, what the hell? Right, there are going to be people shouting at me now. His the little guy that goes with him.
Oh yeah, can't remember. It's gone.
It just literally, it was there, and then it
Yeah.
went straight out my head.
Yeah, it's gone. I'm sorry.
Shitty balls. Anyhow, yeah, there's a little 3-part miniature that had all 3 of them. That would make me super happy.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe when 10th Ed Astra Militaria roll around.
Mm-hmm.
That'd
be cool. But yeah, and there's an anthology as well. So an anthology of
and the
new
old
stories.
stuff. Oh, great.
So
is
it
it
collects
new?
the
It's new.
novella All Soldiers Never Die, which has never been put into audiobook, with 13 other short stories.
Right.
So you get a whole new story, and then you get 13 new short stories.
Oh, fabulous. Wow. So it's a real, they're just blasting this everywhere, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, there's
Yeah.
so going to be a miniature set. There's so
Oh.
going to be a miniature set if they're putting that much effort into it.
I hope so. I really hope so, because God, I love Kane.
I think everyone does, don't they? He's one of
Yeah.
those characters, isn't he?
It's just...
He has had miniatures before, hasn't he? There was
has,
a set, I remember back in... Oh, God, it may have been 4th Ed or something like that. There was a set with Cyphers Kane.
Yeah, that's an old-looking mini, though.
Oh,
Very old-looking mini.
very odd looking. Big head.
Yeah, large head. Massive.
Very, 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 very big head.
So, unless anybody else has got anything they'd like to bring up, that's, I think, pretty
that's
much
it.
the end of the show.
I think that's it. I mean, the only thing really is we're just we're about to see the all the stuff for 10th Ed coming, and we're really, really excited.
Absolutely.
I just can't wait. And there's been so many drip feeds over the last couple of days alone. People have seen stuff like Mortarion's data sheet, and we've seen a few demons and things, and a few Drakari data sheets have dropped as well. And I think obviously they're doing it deliberately. It's
Oh, yeah.
it's that thing they do where they pretend, oops, we let that leak, didn't we? Oh dear, whatever shall we do? Yeah, it's part of the marketing, obviously.
When do you think the first codex is going to be done for 10th?
I don't know because
Maybe
it.
to
I
Is
mean,
there
Space
Leviathans
Marine.
out within the next
Yes,
3 weeks,
So-
month, something.
Space Marines and Tyranids will be relatively soon, I imagine. But after that, I don't know. I don't know.
Normally, the codex for the 2 armies that are in the box comes out with the box.
They do,
Now,
but they're not this
There's
time.
there's no word of that. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's actually a bit longer. If
I think it's going to be a bit longer. I think it looks like what they're doing is taking their time a little bit with the codices this time. Because they, of course, like we said before, they don't really have to rush that much anymore. It's not like people aren't going to be able to play when the game comes out because they're going to have everything.
Yeah.
You know?
So numbers, boys, when's it coming?
Oh, God, I don't know.
Within 3 months.
3
Yes.
months.
Oh, easily. Yeah. I think it'd be even. It will be sooner than I should think. Anyway, I'd be surprised if it's that long. But yeah, it's going to be a bit longer than normal.
How weird would it be if, like, I don't know, within 6 months, every army has its codex out to
Bloody
buy?
hell, that would be insane.
That would be the...
I can't imagine that. But who knows, right? Who knows? But the great thing is, Pete, it doesn't matter.
No.
It doesn't matter. People are going to be playing already. They're going to have most of the rules for their army anyway. It's going to be good. You know, it's good. It's a good state of play at the moment. It seems
It
to
is. It is. Right then. So let us then tell people where they can find you, fine gentlemen, if they so wish to either congratulate you on work well done or to skin you to make hide jackets.
Either
Andy.
way.
Oh,
Where can
me.
we- No, not a hide jacket for Andy, a hide jacket out of Andy.
Out
Oh,
of
that-
Andy. I was
yeah,
thinking,
I was-
Andy's not really equipped for that, being like, you know, a zombie.
No, there's not much flesh to hide.
Yeah, I was going
before.
to say. And also, I don't think you can. I may be wrong, but I don't think you can tan necrotic flesh. I don't think it works. It would dissolve.
It's like anything with nipples. You can if you try. That's what they say. Yeah, if you want to find me, you can find me on. What? What?
I just went through a list of animals with nipples in my head, and I don't know why I did that.
Sometimes you got to think to yourself, how many animals do have nipples? Most mammals, I would imagine.
Most mammals do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Creatures
That's a
don't.
lot
But
of
there are
nipples, my friend.
exceptions. There are exceptions.
Just there tweaking up duckbill platypus's nipples, you know.
Well, you know, sometimes you're thirsty. Sometimes the platypus is willing. What can I tell you? You can find me on Twitter as Decayed Andy, where we're watching the stuff at the moment. YouTube's Decayed Andy. I'm also on the Moonbase 2 podcast with Mikey, where we talk about Transformer things each and every week. Wahoo!
Are you all geared up now for Rise of the Beast, Andy?
Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch that either tomorrow or probably not tomorrow because it'll be late night shows. Maybe Friday.
Oh,
I
God.
saw Into the Across the Spider-Verse today, so that was nice.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Getting good reviews, isn't it? It looks good.
Yeah, it's a little unnecessarily long. I think.
Yeah, well, it's a
And
Marvel
it does,
film, isn't it?
it's like the second Hobbit film in the sense
No,
that
I-
it just ends.
Oh, right. Okay.
It doesn't have like a a good
payoff
like
or anything,
yeah. It just kind of goes. Smaug flies
That's a
out of the
shame.
cave and goes, "See you next year," and you go, "Oh, all right."
That's a
It's
bit of a
still,
shame.
but it's very good.
Still a
Yeah.
very good film, yeah.
Yeah, I'd recommend it over any of the garbage Marvel producers at the moment. To be honest,
Yes.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But Andy, out of interest, does the knowledge that Nick Cage's Superman is going to appear in The Flash make you more interested in The Flash or less interested in The Flash?
Less because I don't know whether this is true. This is a rumor that they might be making a CGI Christopher Reeves.
Oh no.
And that feels kind of fucking gross if that's
Not
true.
like
Yeah.
that at all.
That might not be the case. That's a rumor I heard,
Ooh,
and
I
I
don't
wouldn't
like
I wouldn't be happy about that. I'd be
No.
like, oh, that's
No.
gross.
I don't like that. I was kind of up in arms when they did Peter Cushing in Star Wars, to be honest. It's like, come on, you can't consent to that. That is wrong.
And you kind of know they'll do it because
Oh, of course they will. I mean, it's going to like, you give it time. You're going to see new films with Rudolph Valentino, and you are. I mean, you say that you are. That's the way it's going. It's foul. I think it's kind of foul, to be honest. But,
Oh, it is.
it's okay to recast. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
You had Brandon Ruth turn up because he looked like Christopher Reeves.
Right.
Why not just use Brandon Ruth?
Yeah.
Hang on, this is Brandon Routh, the dude from The Crow who died.
No, that's Brandon Lee.
Brandon Lee.
Oh, okay. Oh,
I was so,
Brandon's.
I was talking about the guy who was in Superman Returns.
Oh, that guy. Oh, my God. Yeah.
And then turned up in The Flash as somebody.
Somebody.
The Atom.
That's right, he was the Atom.
Iron Man.
Yeah, that's right. I was trying to think, what the fuck was his costume? That was Iron Man.
Yeah, it was Iron Man.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Aye. And then they killed off him as the Atom so they could have him as Kingdom Come Superman.
Did they?
In a crossover, yeah.
That would have been awkward.
Yeah.
It's the same crossover that has Batman actor.
Oh, Kevin Conroy.
Kevin Conroy playing actual Kingdom Come Batman.
Yeah, it was fucking awful.
It was.
Oh,
Yeah.
what
It's
a
the
shame.
CW. The CW can't write for shit.
No, agreed.
What a
Agreed.
shame. What a shame.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The CW write superhero films like they write the OC or anything like that, where every major issue could be dealt with if two people talk to each other.
It is literally written as a teenage drama.
You see, I
hate
don't
it.
watch this stuff, so I'm sort of like,
It's absolute dross. It's incredible. I don't think this. I think the stats were kind of put out. The CW has never made money
wow.
since it's came out. It's never actually made money on any of its shows, which is impressive.
It is pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, good luck to you if you like it. You like it, you know.
Yeah, right.
Oh boy.
I remember watching that Arrow series show that they did, and I got about 3 episodes in and went, "This is just a really shit Batman."
Bad, yeah.
And yeah, that season 1 and 2 of Arrow was probably some of the better CW shows that they did.
Season 2 was actually all right. I will put my hand down.
Fine.
Yeah, it was watchable.
Yeah, yeah.
And the Flash has like 1 episode in about 10, which is not.
Jeez,
honestly, it's literally.
It's not good odds, is it? That
No.
I remember just the reason I cut it all out and stopped watching it was the realization that it doesn't matter who the big bad was. The main problem was the inner turmoil that was affecting the group, and that turmoil would have been solved if 2 people sat the fuck down and had a human conversation with each other.
Well, that's just bad writing, isn't it? That's just like convenient writing, that is.
Yes. I didn't expect for this show to end with me having a rant about the C-fucking-W, but
No.
Here we are.
yeah, this is where the fluff ends up. George, where can people find you if they so wish to put your head on a spike?
Well, you can find me over at Exaggerated Elegy, where all the usual stuff is going on. Just started a new series where my compatriots, Elliot Chapman and Jack Graham and I, are taking each of the episodes of our favourite show, Hannibal, and dissecting them, which
That's
is
a good show.
great fun. Oh, it's my favourite. It's my favourite. I love
Didn't it get
Hannibal.
cancelled and had to wrap up a little too quick?
I-
I remember
not
the end
really. No,
felt
what
a little fast.
Oh, the ending is awesome. Oh, it's so good. That people keep saying, "Oh, let them come back for a 4th season." No, it ends beautifully, so poetically. It doesn't need anything they do now can only dilute what's come. You know, it's an amazing show. It's an amazing show. It's so well put together. And Mads Mikkelsen, isn't it? And that kind of helps a great deal, you know, aesthetic level.
A man
But
who
yeah,
could shave with his own cheekbones.
absolutely, yeah. We're doing that at the moment, which is great fun. Also playing the remake of Resi 4, which is loads of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Liking
How
that.
far through
Liking that. Where am I now? I am just outside of the castle. I'm just
Oh, you haven't got inside yet?
No,
You're about to wrestle with Dirty Mendez and his little wooden eye.
No, not yet. So we're getting there. We're getting
Mendez.
there.
Let me in the castle. Sorry, Mendez. Take the smelly, scruffy beard and stay outside.
Yeah.
Oh, you fought. Have you fought Lursa and Beator yet? The two chainsaw wielding ladies.
No.
Okay, I mean they were in the original. You must fight them at some point before you go in the castle.
I haven't met them yet. That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Because
I'm looking
where do they appear in the original game? They're
God,
they're before El Gigante, the first one.
Oh, I fought El Gigante. I've just done that
Yeah.
actually. Just on the video I've just uploaded, I've fought El Gigante, which is a great
Yeah.
fight, by the way.
Yeah, the two chainsaw ladies are before him in the original, right?
Oh, they
Aren't
must be
They
after in
must
the
be.
remake. They must
Yeah,
be
it must
after
be.
in the remake because I haven't come up against them yet.
Huh.
Interesting, but no, I'm really enjoying it. I think as the remakes go, it's one of the best ones. I think it's really fun.
Ooh, you need to get yourself some System Shock, George. I've been
Oh, I
enjoying that, the remake.
Oh,
It's
I
fun.
know. I love that. God, the original game I love so much. Such a good horror game. I've got to play it. I've got to
Showdown's
do.
such a showy bitch, isn't she?
Oh, isn't she great? Isn't she great? You know,
I'm a god. Oh,
believe,
fuck off, love. Get on your bike. Trot
yeah,
on.
believe she's a goddess and ain't far wrong, right? Ain't
It's
far
fun.
wrong.
Yeah, it's my first time experiencing System Shock ever.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
really?
Yeah, I
My
never played the
God.
original, and I didn't play 2.
2 is the best one, though. I mean, I haven't played the remake, but 2 is so good. It's so bloody good. It's still one of the best horror games I've ever played.
I sent a message to you guys on the Facebook chat saying if all the mechanics are similar to the original version of System Shock, I can see why the first System Shock was revolutionary.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a game changer.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
a game changer
completely.
because it came out about the same time as Doom, you know? So to have this massive narrative first-person game that had all of these like audio logs and things, it was like, what? This just didn't happen, right?
You can see why like BioShock heavily took its inspiration from it.
Same creators. Same
right,
creators.
okay. Did anybody
Yeah.
else kind of replicate System Shock prior to
Bizarrely,
like
not at the
BioShock?
time. Bizarrely,
think
not
so.
at the time. How weird, right? It
Yeah.
was just they just carried on sort of the same format. So if you play BioShock, it is System Shock 2 with a skin. It's exactly the same. Looks better, but the mechanics are almost identical.
How much vaporizing did you do in the original one? Like picking up junk, taking it to a recycler?
Oh
getting
yeah,
money?
you do that a lot. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you do that a lot.
I'm a right slut for picking up stuff to put in
Yeah.
the machine to get my tiny coins.
Yes, you do that a lot.
Love it.
You're
I'll eat my
replicating
crisps and I'll
machines.
put my crisps in the
Yeah.
vaporizer to get my scrap.
You can, in System Shock, I don't know if you can do it in like the original, but you can hack them in System Shock 2. So you can like hack them and get cheaper stuff or make them replicate other items.
Oh, that's fun.
It's really cool, but if you do it wrong, then the ship AI notices you and it's like, oh crap, it's going to send hordes of cybernetic monsters after me. It's great fun.
It's a weird one when you think about like 1994's PC gaming.
Oh,
Because,
revolutionary, right?
Doom 2 came out the same year. You know, you've got Heretic comes out the same year. Descent,
Oh, man, Heretic.
Yes.
That's a
Descent comes out the same year.
Yeah.
Freaking Blakestone comes out the same year.
So it's just revolutionary for PC gaming.
Yeah.
Right? The year that made PC gaming, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, freaking Alien versus Predator comes out in 1994.
Yes, it does.
And of course,
my
the
God.
game that we all should get around and play, Super Noah's Ark 3D.
Oh my god.
No. Maybe not.
But you know, when you think about like that's what came out as first-person shooters in 1994. You know, you've got yourself like a swarm of some of the
It's
best
insane,
games.
isn't it?
Yeah,
It's absolutely insane. It's like revolutionary.
absolutely. And System Shock didn't get caught up with until the millennium changed.
No, it's absolutely true. And System Shock 2 was out by then, of course, and which also revolutionized it again, you know?
Well, you think like what came after it? You know, Duke Nukem 3D, Quake, Quake 2.
Nothing
None of
even
those-
comes close. Nothing
No.
comes close to System Shock. It just doesn't. It was an amazing game.
I
Absolutely.
wonder if they'll do a remake of 2 because it took like 7 years to do the remake
know.
of this
And
one because it was the
2
Kickstarter and it's good.
is bigger and more ambitious, and there's
yeah.
more going on. It is a better game. If they do it, I will be on cloud nine because it is one of the best horror games ever made. Ever made. It's so good. And if you think Showdown's a bitch in the first one, you've seen nothing. You've seen nothing. Bloody
So
hell.
far, I've just got up to the reactor. I went from the research wing. I think I've done everything there, and I moved down to the reactor. I had two choices: reactor or somewhere else. I did accidentally ejaculate all of the energy lasers and blow up the Earth, and went whoops.
Yeah. That can happen, and there's ways of doing the game so that you like seed the Earth with Shodan's biological creations as well. So you want to be careful of what you're doing.
I was just going around trying to pick up everything, and I went, "Oh, a button."
Yeah,
I mean, it says
shit.
laser next to it, but whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll be fine.
Big red button that says laser.
It
Yeah.
won't let me just blow up the planet. It'll give me a warning. No, I've killed everybody. Oh, well,
Do you know what
well.
Shodan stands for?
No.
Sentient Hyper Optimized Data Access Network.
Oh, that's fun.
It's great, isn't it? It's so good. It's so cool.
I did like the idea of like the player character just phoning up Shodan and being like, "Hey, go on, Shodan, take your chop off, love. Come on, go on, get him out for me." And it's just like harassing her. And she's just like, "You're a damn insect. I want you to die. Come on, love, get your bits out for me." lads.
Wow.
I'm gonna kill you. See you later.
She
love.
is not going to take that. I can tell you.
That's the point, because you've got to kill her anyway, and she's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
kill
yeah,
you, so
true.
you may as well antagonize her.
May as well, right?
Be a lad.
Bloody hell.
Be an orc about it.
It's just, in System Shock 2, you become her agent at one point.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
It's really fun. Really fun. She becomes your guide.
She's Proto GLaDOS, right?
Kind of,
GLaDOS.
yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
GLaDOS is a bit more fun than Shodan. Shodan's very serious, isn't she?
Yes.
She's like, I am God, effectively. I am a digital goddess, Whereas GLaDOS is kind of silly at times. I don't like that about her. How are you? Because I am a potato. Best line ever spoken by an AI, ever. But you can also find me over at strangeplayground.com, by the way, where all my published fiction is, if you'd like to go and read my short stories, all really dark, unpleasant horror stories, by the way. 4 collections I've got out now, guys. I've got 4 collections out.
Will George be playing Amnesia the Bunker?
Yes, he will. Oh, God, yes, he will. I've played all the other Amnesia games, so I've got to play Amnesia the Bunker.
I hear this one's an actual survival horror.
So I understand, and people are liking it. By all accounts, thus far, all the reviews are very favourable. It's got a real pedigree because, I love the Amnesia games. I know people didn't like A Machine for Pigs. I loved it.
Say that one's a bit more of a walking simulator.
It is. It's a walking sim.
Yeah,
I loved it. I thought it was atmospheric. It was interesting. It had a great story. I really, really liked it. But hey, there's no accounting for taste.
The Bunker coming to George's channel near you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes,
Sometimes
give me time to finish because I'm still doing Bloodborne for the 4th time as well. Give me time to finish that, and then I'll get on to doing the Bunker. But apart from that, I think that's it. Oh no! If you want to catch my non-fiction stuff, I'm doing I have inherited Macaulay Kit Powers' regular series, My Life in Horror, for the gingernutsofhorror.com, which is a deep dive into horror media that has had a profound effect on me. It's great fun. There's one coming out very, very soon that explores the Hannibal books and films. Which is going to be a lot of fun.
And how many articles have you written about Clive Barker so far?
Oh my god!
A few, 1 or 2 maybe.
Ridiculous.
It's not that important, but whatever.
17 on each book.
Well, let me put it this way: Kit published 2 books of articles from this series. If I wrote about Clive Barker, I could do 6 on that alone.
I believe you. I truly do.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm not even exaggerating. I'm not engaging in hyperbole. I actually could.
I just want to say as well that the Shodan talk reminded me of when I was in college and I proceeded to inform everybody that MODOK stood for menial orgasm. Designed oily and kinky.
What is it really? What is it?
I can't remember.
Honestly,
I've overwritten.
Machine of death or some and killing or something. It's something stupid.
Designed only for killing.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's so silly. It's so silly.
But unfortunately, that's been written out of my brain now by menial orgasm, designed oily and kinky.
Well, for some, he's got that look which just can't quit.
Yeah, it's very niche, obviously, but
I remember telling people who were getting into comics at college, MODOK just goes, he's the biggest dick in the Marvel universe. They don't write about that, do they? Oh, you'd be surprised.
Lots of attachments.
Yeah, go people to believe.
He's like a vacuum cleaner, right?
Yeah, exactly.
To believe, be able to believe that Murdoch was the greatest lover in the Marvel universe. Oh, if only I had this power for evil. Yeah. Anyhow,
it's so brilliant.
as for myself, you can find me on Twitter as Grufflock, and you can find this show on Twitter at the Fluffenhammer. You can find us on Facebook, where we have both page and group, and it is lovely. You can find us on Discord, where the invite will be below this very show. Come join the Discord and just watch as Darren and Big Swinging D have conversations about things they have. Because my God, it is amazing. I'm sitting here watching this. Somebody's just been scratch building a fucking Titan, like a 40k scaled Warlord Titan. It's yeah, and a Warhound as well. Just cause.
As you do, you know.
Yeah.
I keep asking Big Swing and D to show the pile of shame in a photo.
Oh God.
I want to see Big Swinging D's pile.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Outside of that, you can find my own personal stuff on adnickel.weebly.com, where all my art goes up. I've got the first book of Eramus up there, which is currently in the middle of the rewrite to turn into a Kickstarter. So
Awesome.
that will be an actual book at some point by the end of the year.
Yes.
I'm going to have some other bits and bobs going there. Really want to get back into writing in a big way this year. So I've been tootling around, starting to create things. My own personal little horror anthology, These Shameful Lights, is currently up there as well to have a listen to. Yeah, that's really about it. Thank you very much for listening, if indeed you still are.
Yeah, well done.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.
Inside these empty, broken walls, and I can't see it clearly, but it's obvious. I know that you love